right. Hello. Hi. I'm Miss B. Hanley, and today we are reading Backlash by Sarah Littman. And normally I have a paper copy of the book with me, and it would be right here. Just imagine that is like right next to me. But I don't have it today because we have run out of copies of the book because it's so popular that students from last year stole them and kept them and have not returned them. And so we're out of copies because all of my current students have taken them home to read. And I'm so happy that you have, and I hope you have your book out with you so that you can follow along while we read today. But first, we're going to get into the author of this book, who is a really cool lady. So let's see if this works. Oh my gosh, all of my settings are messed up because I haven't done this since September. That's great. Okay. So our first stop is to just check out the author real quick. This is Sarah Littman. She's super cool. She's a critically acclaimed author. She has written 19 books for Hi Macho Man. She's written 19 books for middle grade and young adult novels, including the one that we're about to read today, and which has won two, not just one, but two awards: the Iowa Teen Book Award and the Grand Canyon Reader Award. She's also written a book called Confessions of a Closet Catholic, which won an award as well. And she's also a teacher at the MFA program at Western Connecticut State University and at the Yale Writers Workshop. She also is an award-winning columnist, which means she writes for magazines and stuff. And do I need this? Just trying to figure that out. Yeah, that's good. She's she's an award-winning columnist, as you can see. Let me make this a little bit bigger, maybe. Which means she writes for magazines and newspapers and stuff. And she lives in Connecticut. Thank you, Crater. Thanks for stopping by. Thank you, and have a great evening. Hope to see you back again soon. She lives in Connecticut, and she is an avid reader like me. She can't stop buying books and can't stop getting bookshelves for them because we have so many books. Totally feel that. That's very relatable. Behind me, behind my little camera thing, you can see that she's written this new book. I'm going to click on it. She's written this new book called Some Kind of Hate, which I just started reading. I just took it home. It's wild. Like all of her books, they're really intense. There's like some really intense themes. Like, you know, just the one that we're going to be reading is a lot of intense themes, which I'm going to get into in just a second. But a lot of her books seem to be very relevant to like the time period of like what's going on and stuff, you know. But it's also like kind of controversial subjects. Like this one is about a young boy who is a baseball player in his freshman year of high school, and he messes up his arm. He gets an injury and is not able to pitch anymore, maybe never again, and it just makes him really angry, right? He loses friends. He's like one of his friends is like flirting with the girl he likes, and that's, you know, bumming him out as well. And his family doesn't really seem to get him. So he starts gaming, which, you know, me, right? Oh my gosh, this is a great book. It's about a kid who starts gaming. That sounds awesome, except for the fact that I'm talking about a different good book, by the way, than Backlash. We're just sitting and chatting here for a moment. This book is not the book we're going to be reading, but he makes friends with these people online through this game that he's playing, and he kind of gets a little radicalized by these people he's hanging out with. It sounds like an awesome book. I'm so excited to read it. I can't wait to review it for you when I finally do finish it. But yeah, that's her newest book. That's Sarah Littman's newest book that she's written. Just came out last November 2022. I have it. I have a copy, and I'm definitely going to devour it at some point when I have time. Okay. As for her other books, she's written some really cool ones. Deep Fake, which is another of hers about technology. She mostly talks about technology in her books, which I think is interesting. And this one seems really interesting, as well as In Case You Missed It, which is also about technology. more about like private lives being exposed through technology, which seems to be a big deal. And like the ramifications of like what happens if your private journals and your private emails and your privacy gets invaded and posted online for everybody to see. And then the one we're reading today, the one that we're going to be getting into in class, is Backlash. So let's take a look at this book. Let's see what they say about this. This book was published in 2016. So some of the references are probably a little old because they have been, it's 2023. We've had a lot happen. A lot of technology things have happened since 2016. Most importantly, people getting off Facebook. That's not a thing that usually teens are involved with anymore. But we can just imagine that this story, uses a different kind of social media platform like TikTok or Instagram or Snapchat or whatever. Just insert random social media platform into where it says Facebook, and you have the same concept, the same things happening. People posting about you and to you and saying things and possibly even pretending to be other people, like saying they're someone and they're really not that person. So Backlash, we're going to go ahead and read the blurb. I'm going to go ahead and mute my music here. All right. Backlash. The back of the book. This is the back of the blurb. The back of the book blurb. Yeah. Hey, Macho Man. How you doing? Good to see you here. Just getting started talking about Backlash. We're doing a little pre-read activity, and then we're going to get into reading it for real. So here we go. He says, you're an awful person. He says, what makes you think I'd ever ask you out? He says, the world would be a better place without you in it. Laura just got told off on Facebook. She thought, yes, Miss Golden. Miss Golden, welcome. Yeah, you can totally post on Teams that we're streaming. I'll definitely post this, the completed video tomorrow. But yeah, you can totally post this on Teams for us. Hey, Francesca, welcome in. We're just doing some pre-reading right now. We're just looking at the back of the book while I wait for my food to get here, because it's been a very busy evening. And hopefully he doesn't miss my house. Laura just got told off on Facebook. She thought that Christian liked her, that he was finally going to ask her to his school's homecoming dance. They've been talking online for weeks, so what's with the sudden change? And where does he get off saying horrible things on her wall? Even worse, are they true? It's been a long time since Laura's felt this bad, this depressed, this ugly. She worked really hard to become pretty and happy and make new friends after what happened in middle school. Bree used to be best friends with overweight, depressed Laura, but constantly listening to Laura's issues got to be too much. Secretly, Bree's glad that Christian called Laura out. Laura's not nearly as amazing as people think. But no one realized just how far Christian's harsh comments would push Laura, not even Bree. As online life collides with real life, things spiral out of control, and not just for Laura, because when the truth starts to come together, the backlash is even more devastating than anyone could have ever imagined. So yeah, so this is one of several awards, not just the two that were mentioned in Littman's bio, but also one in 2016 and 2018. It's a really great book. However, there's a big warning about this book because it depicts a young girl committing suicide. I'm not giving you a spoiler because it literally happens the very first thing that we're going to read. Is her attempting suicide. And because of the things that someone has said to her online. And it's going to be shown not once in the book, but twice in the book. And so if that's something that you have trouble reading or hearing about, please, I will put a warning on the video for you. So that way you can avoid any of that description if you need to, or, just try a different book altogether. I really hope this person is not going to miss my. Okay, just going to keep watching it. All right. So, this is about the book. This is about Backlash. We're talking mainly about Yes, she also, I just mentioned that, Francesca, she also wrote Deepfake, which I talked about a little bit a second ago. And we're going to be talking a lot about social media. We're going to be talking about social media, social media, and using social media and the consequences of using social media, and more specifically, the consequences of doing things online that are kind of like not on the up and up, like catfishing as people and pretending you're someone else, and um, you know, engaging with people that maybe you don't fully know. That's another big thing. As well as, like the interactions between friends and how they can become toxic. Yeah, so we're going to get into that. But we're going to take a quick moment while I go make sure that this DoorDash driver did not lose his way. So give me a couple seconds here. I'm sorry. I'm going to need to pause for a second. I'm going to put the music back on. I'm going to be right back. Hold on tight. Success. Wake up. Are you there? I wonder what Miss Hanley got to eat. Food. Got food into my house. Also, hi Jaden. No, I can't DoorDash you. Sorry. I can pretend. Send it to Jaden. Yay. Okay, thank goodness. All right, we're back. And we're going to read now, officially, starting right now. Sorry for the delay. Thank you for waiting. Thank you for being patient as usual. Okay, where is my screen?
This is that once in a lifetime.
Yummy. That sounds amazing, Francesca. That sounds really amazing. Okay. All right, cool. Me? I don't want to tell you because I feel embarrassed. But I definitely got Chick-fil-A. Because it's quick and it was easy and I didn't have a lot of time. So we got Chick-fil-A, which is kind of embarrassing, but we did it. Anyway. All right. I don't think there's anything more I have to say about this book that I haven't already said. Just be warned, intense themes, intense topics. It gets sad, but then you're going to get to a point where you're going to get mad, and that's the thing that everybody has a good time with. So, yeah, we're going to enjoy this. All right. So, let me move over here. Yes, I have the Kindle edition with me because I don't have any paper versions of the book. So, you're going to be following along with me. Can I make this? I don't think so. I guess I should have figured that out earlier. That's fine. Okay. Cool. Let's start. This is, yeah, it's true. You can't, Jaden. You can't go wrong. Okay, so just reading is officially starting. Shh, everyone. Just kidding. You can still talk in the chat. It's fine. Okay, Backlash by Sarah Darer Littman. In memory of my father, Stanley Paul Darer, who taught me to observe and, more importantly, to care about the world around me. So true. That's the table of contents. All right, part 1 now. Lara. The words on the screen don't make sense. They can't. He says, you're an awful person. He says, you're a terrible friend. He says, I know you've been checking out dresses for the homecoming dance. He says, what makes you think I'd ever ask you out? He says, I've never been caught dead at the school dance. I read that wrong. I'd never be caught dead at the school dance with a loser like you. Ouch. He doesn't say it in a private message. He posts it publicly on my Facebook wall where everyone can see. 25 people have already liked what he wrote. Even people I thought were my friends. Why would anyone like something that mean? A few people have posted defending me, saying that I'm not a loser and that he's a jerk for posting that. But my eyes keep going back to Christian's words. I don't understand. I thought we were friends. I thought we were more than friends. Wasn't he flirting with me? Did I get that wrong too? My fingers tremble on the keyboard as I am him. What did I do wrong? I don't understand. I wait for him to answer, so numb with hurt and panic that I can't even cry. When the answer comes, I wish it hadn't. He says, you're a loser. The world would be a better place without you in it. Goodbye, loser. My lungs feel paralyzed. I can't breathe. Why is he saying this? What changed from yesterday to today? Tears roll down my cheeks as I type back. Why? Why? But when I press return, it won't let me send it. He's blocked me. I hit the keyboard in frustration, shaking my head. No. I can't ask him why. I can't ask anyone why. The only person left to ask is me. Sydney. Okay, Sydney. Laura's hogging the bathroom again. I swear, it's like this every single night. She gets in there first, takes forever, and uses up all the hot water. She better leave me some tonight because I have to wash my hair. I've got auditions tomorrow for Beauty and the Beast, the 8th grade musical. Maddie, Cara, and I have spent like forever practicing our audition pieces, and the last thing I want is for Miss Brandt to be distracted from my acting and singing talent by my gross hair. I knock on the door for the second time. Okay, this time I'm banging more than knocking. Lara, come on, hurry up. You've been in there for 40 minutes. Tonight, she's even more annoying than usual. She doesn't even respond with go away, I'll be out in a minute, or something typical charming and Laura-like. There's just dead silence, which makes me even more angry and frustrated. I give one last loud bang with my fist and stomp down the stairs to complain to Mom. Okay, really quick. We've switched perspectives. We started with Laura, who was our first chapter, and she was reading the text messages the messages she received from Christian. And now it seems we're on a new character's perspective that seems to be Laura's sister. And Sydney's pretty ticked off that Laura's in the bathroom for so long. But there's something interesting and strange about this time that she's in the bathroom. She's not even like calling back, right? Sydney says, there's just dead silence. I'm going to highlight that. That's a good one. Okay, right? Dead silence. That's definitely foreshadowing. My mother is in that post-dinner, I'm finally sitting down and reading my boring political papers, so don't bother me with your arguments kind of mood. Mom, I swear, if I have to take another cold shower, Sydney, I've been sitting down for all of She checks her watch. 3 minutes. I am not getting involved until I've had at least 10 minutes to unwind. But, Mom, 10 minutes, Sid, she said, giving me her palm and going back to whatever deathly dull papers she's reading for her position on the city council. She's muttering something about budget cuts as I walk away. Even if I started acting all moody and depressed like Laura, Mom would give me a pass on being a jerk too. Even now that Laura's doing better, my parents let her get away with stuff because she was so depressed before. If I were into all that stupid cheerleading like Laura, I'd make them do this cheer. 2, 4, 6, 8. Who's the girl that's really great? Sydney. Sydney. Hello? I stomp back upstairs and bang on the door again. Laura, get out of there. I need to take a shower. Silence. No running water. No splashing. No snarky reply. Nothing. That's when I get the first tingle of unease, the feeling that something's different tonight. I try turning the door handle, but it's locked. It's not the locked door that freaks me out. Laura always locks the door when she's in the bathroom. It's the silence. It's the fact that she's not yelling back at me through the door. Laura, I call, concern starting to nudge out anger. Are you okay? All right, bye, Francesca. Bye. Nothing. Not even the tiniest movement of water. Panic rises to the back of my throat as I run downstairs, almost tripping on the last 3 steps. Mom, I think something's wrong with Laura. That's what it takes to get Mom's attention away from her paperwork. What do you mean? She's locked in the bathroom and she's not answering when I bang on the door. Mom's face pales. She throws the papers on the table and runs for the stairs, taking them 2 at a time. I follow her, feeling more scared as I climb each step. Laura, open the door now, Mom shouts, knocking on the door with both fists. Nothing. Still nothing. Mom rattles the handle and shakes the door like that's going to magically make it open. Do you hear me, Laura? Open the door, she yells. More nothing. Scary. Oh my God, what is happening in there? Nothing. Mom turns to me. Call 911, she says, and Dad. I stand there shocked, staring at her. 911? That means now, Sydney. I race into my parents' bedroom, grab the phone, and dial 911. What's the nature of your emergency? The dispatcher asks. My sister's locked in the bathroom and she won't answer, and she's been in there for a really long time. What's your location? I give her the address, expecting her to send an ambulance, but she's got more questions. How old is your sister? She's 15, I tell her. Are you sure she's in there? Yes. What gives you reason to think this is an emergency? Because she's not answering, I shout, feeling my throat start to close up. Do you have any reason to believe she's come to harm? Yes, that's why I'm calling you. Why do you think she might have come to harm? No one in my family wants to admit this publicly, but she had depression and saw a shrink and stuff. Has she made any suicidal comments? Not recently, at least that I know of, but she did a few years ago. Okay, the dispatcher says. Ambulance and police are on their way to you. I slam the phone in the cradle and run back into the hallway. Mom's jamming at the lock with some weird metal pin thing. What's that? It's supposed to be the key to unlock the door from this side, Mom says between gritted teeth. Except it's not working. That's when I realize I forgot to call Dad. As our resident handyman, he would have the lock to open by now for sure. I slip into my bedroom and call him on my cell. What's up, Sugar Plum? He says. Come home, I tell him. It's Lara. What's happened? He's suddenly brisk. Laura's crises do that to our parents. She's in the bathroom with the door locked and won't answer. Mom's trying to get the door open. I called 911. I say in a rush. Hey, guy. Hey. Just then, the sirens, which had been faint in the distance, start getting loud down the street. I hear him curse under his breath. Tell Mom I'm on my way, he says before hanging up on me. Mom's still struggling unsuccessfully with the lock and is mumbling her own angry curses. The sirens are now ear-splittingly loud. The ambulance must be right outside. I'll go let them in, I say as the doorbell rings. It's not the ambulance. It's the police. A policewoman uniformed with a gun at her hip. She flashes her badge. Officer Hall, Lake Hills PD. I have a report of a 15-year-old female with a psychiatric history who's non-responsive and locked in the bathroom. I nod. My sister. Where? She asks. I point up the stairs, and she goes up without asking me any more questions. I hear Mom talking to her, starting to cry, frustrated. She still hasn't been able to get the door open, and why is the stupid key working? Explaining how Dad got it in case Laura locked herself in and tried to do something stupid. The police lady says she'll take over with the key thing, speaking in a low, steady voice to calm Mom down. So, my parents expected something like this to happen? Am I the only one who didn't? I start wondering why I'm always the last to know about stuff that ends up affecting my life. But my brain is too busy being blown into a million shards by a new round of sirens, this time the ambulance. I let the EMTs in and point them up the stairs. This time, I follow. By the time we get up there, the bathroom door is open, and I glimpse the pill bottles lined up on the edge of the bathtub like birds on a telephone wire. Oh, Laura, why? The EMTs ask Mom to leave the bathroom so they have room to work on Laura. The policewoman leads my mother out into the hallway. Mom is crying. She tries to look back into the bathroom, but the EMT guy shuts the door. Work on her? I guess that means Laura's still alive? For now, at least. I can't say how many times I've wished that I were an only child, but now I'm whispering frantic prayers over and over that I won't be. Intense. Intense. It's gonna get more intense. Okay. Bree. So we're on a new character's perspective. As soon as I hear the sirens coming down our street, I know they're coming for Laura. Don't ask me how I know. I just do. I mean, she's been messed up for a while since we were in middle school. Not everyone knows that because her parents tried to keep it hush hush with her mom being a politician and all. But I know because we used to be best friends. Her being so messed up is part of the reason we're not anymore. I pick up my cell and call Mom, who's still at work. So Bree and Laura used to be friends. I think this is from the back of the book. Like they split up in middle school because Laura's issues were too hard for Bree to handle. And it seems like they got worse for Laura. Hi, she says when she picks up. I've got an important showing in 2 minutes, so make it snappy. I look out the window. There's a police car out in front of the Kellys' house. They came down the street with lights and sirens. That's not good, Mom says, stating the obvious. Then I hear more sirens. I think an ambulance is coming too, I tell her. I hear them, she says. Listen, my client's just pulled up. I've got to go. Just hang tight and stay inside so you don't get in the way. I'll be home as soon as I can. Do you think I don't know, Bree. I've got to go. This could be a huge commission. Just stay in the house. And the line is dead silent. What's going on? My brother, Liam, asks. His freckled face shows only typical 8th grade boy curiosity as he comes to the window. He's alternately red and blue from the flashing lights on the police car. Something's going on at the Kellys, I say. Wow, I never would have guessed that by the police car that's parked out front. Thanks, Captain Obvious. Liam can be such a snot, and him being smarter than me is something my mother never fails to point out. So figure it out yourself, Einstein, I retort. We can hear the sirens getting closer. I see curtains twitch across the way. Everyone is wondering what's going on. And then they get louder and louder, and we see the ambulance turn onto our street. Liam sticks his fingers in his ears as sirens scream deafeningly outside the window. Then they stop, with a weird hiccup as the ambulance screeches to a halt behind the police car. I'm just fixing something. We watch, our noses pressed to the glass, sirens' lights still flashing as the medics run to the Kellys' front door. Curious neighbors have started gathering outside. I'm going to go out and see what's happening, Liam says. No! He stares at me, shocked by my sudden, vehement command. Mom said to stay inside till she gets home. Why? Liam asks. My brother was born asking that question. It's like he's wired to refuse to take no for an answer. Because Mom said so, okay? Why can't you just listen to her for once? Because she didn't tell me, the little brat says over his shoulder as he heads toward the front door. And because the Kellys are our friends. Liam, Mom said to stay inside. He opens the door, ignoring me. Why does he always have to be such a pain, especially now? I'm going to tell Mom. The door slams on my threat. The Kellys are our friends. It's an important piece of information. Were our friends. Hey, Dogs Love Borscht, welcome to our stream. Welcome. Everyone go subscribe to Dogs Love Borscht. Local YouTuber. Were our friends is more like it. Watch him drift toward the gathering crowd by the ambulance, sidling up to Spencer Hellman from down the street and talking to him. I want to go out too. I pick up my cell and decide to ignore Mom's instructions. If she gives me a hard time, I'll tell her the truth, which is that Liam left the house first. As I walk up to the crowd, one of the EMTs comes out of the Kelly's house with a policewoman. He opens the back of the ambulance and takes out a stretcher. My stomach turns over. A stretcher could mean anything from a corpse to a sick person going to the hospital, right? What happened? It's one of our neighbors, Mrs. Gorski. She's an old busybody, always looking out her window to see what's happening on our street. A few years ago, Josie Stern skipped school and came home with a bunch of friends while her parents were at work. Guess who called her parents and told on her, so she got grounded for a month? You guessed it, Mrs. G. We can't release any information at this time, the policewoman says. The two of them wheel the stretcher back into the house. I hope Sid's okay, Liam mutters. He's strangely pale beneath his freckles. I'm sure she's fine, I tell him, because I know this has to be about Laura. Maybe Mr. Kelly had a heart attack, he says. I check the driveway. He's not even home, I observe. See, his car's not here. Besides, Mr. Kelly is in pretty good shape. He's not the heart attack kind of guy. Unlike my father, who needs to lose weight, as Mom never stops reminding him. Dad had the physique of a middle-aged teddy bear. I bet it's the older girl, Mrs. Gorski says, wagging one of her liver-spotted bony fingers for emphasis. Laura. That's the one that's given them troubles for years. How does she know? Does she, hide in the bushes and listen to conversations through open windows? Seriously, she can't even get Laura's name right. And I do think that then the pronunciation of her name is kind of important. So, Lara is the name, I think. And, Mrs. Gorski is pronouncing it Laura, which is how I'm sort of pronouncing it. There's, a distinct difference. It's not like she was Lara's best friend for years. It's not like she had to listen when Lara was depressed and kept talking about how she hated life and hated herself and hated her body and why did she have to be so fat for hours. Not exaggerating. One time we were video chatting and it was 176 minutes of her complaining about life. I timed it. I finally lied and said I had to go because I couldn't take it anymore. High school was such a relief. Bigger place, new people, made it easy to escape, to hang out with other girls. We were best friends. Then we weren't. It happens all the time. Just read any teen magazine advice column. There's nothing unusual about our story. Except now there's a police car and an ambulance parked outside Laura's house. The front door opens and I hold my breath, waiting to see if Laura is alive or in a body bag. Two EMTs are wheeling out the stretcher and Laura's strapped to it with an oxygen mask over her face and an IV in her arm. She's alive. I can breathe again, just barely. But Mrs. Kelly is walking next to her unconscious daughter, holding her hand and sobbing. What does that mean? Does it mean there's a chance she won't make it? Sydney shuts the door behind everyone and walks to her mother's car, her arms wrapped around herself like she's eaten something bad and got a terrible pain in her stomach. This is so unreal. What did Laura do? Marcy won't believe this. I can barely believe it. But Marcy doesn't know yet. So I take out my cell and surreptitiously snap a picture of Laura's pale face as they wheel her by on the stretcher. What are you doing? Liam asks, grabbing my arm and staring at me horrified. That's sick. Shut up. He doesn't. Bree, what's the matter with you? You better not post that. I shake him off and snap more pictures as they slide the stretcher into the ambulance and slam the door shut. I have to send this to Marcy right away. Otherwise, she's not going to believe me when I tell her this is just so crazy. Mrs. Kelly sobs her way over to her car and gets in, obviously planning to follow after the ambulance with Sydney. Then the siren starts up with a near deafening whoop. Whoop. That's the right word. Whoop. Liam puts his fingers in his ears, and I take some video of the ambulance driving away, lights flashing and sirens blaring. Bree, stop it, Liam shouts over the siren noise. What is your problem? What's your problem? I shout back. Just go inside and mind your own business. You kids with your smartphones and your Facebooks and what's it called? YouTubes. Mrs. Gorski complains, shaking her head as she turns back to her house once the siren noise fades down the street. no trees fall in your forest unless you put it online. Everyone has to know, everyone's business. I don't think that's how Mrs. Gorski sounds. That's just how I'm making her sound. I think the woman's starting to lose it. What is she talking about? And seriously, Mrs. Gorski wouldn't know minding her own business if it stood in front of her and did a kick line like the Rockettes at Rock Radio City. When I finish taking the video of the ambulance, I head back home. Everything is posted on Facebook before I even walk back in the front door of our house. Now, everybody knows. Wow, Bree, that was cold. That was cold. So, like, here's the thing about this chapter. At first, when we're reading about Bree's reaction to Lara, it almost seems like she cares about her because, like, she says she holds her breath, waiting to see if Laura's alive. And then she says, like, when she sees her alive, she can breathe again, right? She's like, oh, thank God, like almost like a relief. But then she takes these videos and these pictures of Lara on this stretcher. And even her brother is like, what are you doing? And she's like, shut up, right? She's like, I'm going to keep doing this. What's your problem? Right? Like at first it seems like Bree cares about Lara, but then it doesn't because she's like doing this weird, like taking photos of her. Like, I don't know. It's just kind of messed up. Even Liam knows that that's messed up. Even Mrs. Gorski knows that's messed up. Even though like Mrs. Gorski's kind of like brushing it off and saying, oh, it's technology that's the problem. But I don't know if technology is the problem here. I think the problem here is Bree, right? Liam saying, Bree, what's the matter with you? What is the matter with her? Like, what is wrong with her? That is just something you do not do. Unless that person wants that. But like Lara didn't consent. Lara didn't say she wanted to be like, I don't know. And they're not even friends. No, I don't think so. It's messed up. There's not a lot of excuses that Bree can have for explaining away her actions to Lara. I'm just saying. Okay, we're back to Sydney. Let's see what happens next. Laura's still unconscious. What happens if she doesn't wake up? What happens? Okay, hang on. I have to make sure that this is turned off. What happens if she doesn't wake up? What happens if she does and she's like a vegetable or something? The doctors say they can't give us a prognosis. They say we have to wait and see, something that none of us are that good at doing. Dad ended up meeting us at the ER. They kept us out of the room while they intubated Lara, which means sticking a tube into her windpipe, and while they inserted a urinary catheter, which sounds totally gross, and it is. They took blood and some of her urine out of that catheter thing so they could do tests. The ER doctors gave her something called activated charcoal through another tube they'd stuck down her throat into her stomach. It's supposed to help eliminate the drugs she took from her system. Since they allowed us back into the room, we've been doing what they told us to do. Talking to her in case she hears us, watching the machines that are tracking her vitals, listening to the slowed beeps of her heart, and most of all, sitting here, waiting, hoping, and praying that she'll pull through. But the one question we keep asking one another and ourselves in between prayers and hopes is why? Why now? Mom sits on one side of Lara, Dad on the other, each of them holding one of her limp hands. Mom alternates between crying, praying, and begging Lara to wake up and come back to us. Dad is a silent, angry rock. He doesn't understand. So I don't think, right, like the question that Sydney asks, why now? I feel like they don't know, like they're not following her Facebook or like looking at her Facebook. Like maybe none of them are like on her social media. It doesn't seem like Sydney is, because I feel like she would have pulled out her phone at some point while they're just sitting there waiting and like seen it. But none of them have done that. None of them are like, seem to be like super social media users. So it doesn't seem like they are aware of what someone's written on her Facebook page. Why would she do this when things were going so much better for her? He asked Mom right after he got there. Mom just shook her head and cried harder. Dad comforted her. But he's been asking the doctors and nurses and the janitor and anyone who walks by the same hurt, angry question. I can't blame him because I don't get it either. Back when she was in middle school and everyone was making fun of her for being fat, Mom arranged for Lara to see a nutritionist so she could lose weight. We all ended up having to change the way we ate, which meant no more cookies for me, even though I wasn't overweight. How is that fair? Lara and Dad went to the gym together on the weekends, and then he'd take her for low-fat frozen yogurt at Yogalicious. It was their special time. And now, Laura had just made varsity cheerleading. All she could talk about was her new friend Ashley from cheerleading and how great it was to hang out with her and the rest of the girls from the team. So, why, Laura? I didn't get frozen yogurt treats or special time with Dad. But am I the one lying unconscious in an ER bed, freaking out my entire family? Our Lara vigil is interrupted when a policeman comes into the little room. Sorry to intrude, but we need to ask you some questions, he says. Maybe we should step outside. Mom glances at Dad. I can tell she doesn't want to leave Lara's side for a second, like her presence alone is what's going to keep my sister alive. More than all the beeping machines. He nods toward the door, and reluctantly, she lets go of Lara's hand, kissing it before she lays it back on the bed. There are 2 chairs outside the room. Mom sits in one, but Dad wants to stand, so I take the other. I'm sorry I have to bother you at this time like this, the police officer says. I'm Officer Tim. This is Officer Hall, he says, pointing to the policewoman who I recognize from the house. Why are you here? Dad asks. Can't you see our daughter is... Dad trails off because he can't say the words. Just the usual follow-up questions in this kind of situation, Officer Hall says in a calm but firm voice. Mom looks to where Lara is lying in the bed, pale and still. Had your daughter appeared depressed recently? Officer Tim asks. No, she was doing really well, Dad says. That's why I can't understand why she would... She made the cheerleading squad, Mom adds. She was making new friends. Did you notice any changes recently in her behavior or her grades? Officer Tim asks. No, Mom says. If anything, she seemed happier than usual, not depressed. Has Laura had any history of mental illness? The policeman asks. There's that slight hesitation. My parents don't look at each other. They don't need to. They already got this. She got a little down in middle school. Some of the other girls were teasing her about her weight, Dad says. But she's fine now, Mom assures them. We're in the emergency room, and Laura is unconscious on a bed attached to beeping machines while the police are interviewing us. Mom might not be aware of the irony, but Officer Tim exchanges a sideways look with Officer Hall. The irony that Sydney is talking about here is the fact that her mom just said, no, she's fine now. She's clearly not fine, right? Like, she's clearly not fine now. And that's why Sydney has picked up on this little irony. They're doing it again. My parents are pretending that we're this perfect family with 2 perfect parents and 2 perfect daughters. Problems? Not us Kellys. We're totally electable. I can't help the loud, exasperated sigh that escapes my lips. Sydney, why don't you and I take a walk to stretch our legs while Officer Tim speaks with your parents? Officer Hall says. I bet it's tough for you to sit for so long. Okay, sure. I'm grateful for the chance to get away from the constant beeping of monitors, from Laura's still, pale face, from my parents who keep pretending everything is just awesome despite all the evidence that it isn't. Do they really think they're fooling anyone beside themselves? As we walk down the hallway, Officer Hall's thick rubber-soled shoes make annoying, squeaky noises on the vinyl floor tiles with every step she takes. Guess I wouldn't be able to sneak up on a subject in this place, would I? She says, giving me a rueful smile. I wonder if she could read the annoyance on my face, or if the sound bugs her too. No, you'd squeak up on a subject. Suspect. She laughs. Can I treat you to a bottle of something? She says, gesturing to the vending machine a little ways down the hall. Sure. I can't decide between vitamin water, Mom would approve, or Gatorade. Might keep me going for what is obviously going to be a long night. Since I'm mad at Mom, I pick the Gatorade. Officer Hall gets herself a Diet Coke, and we find a couple of chairs in one of the small family waiting rooms located off this hallway in strategic locations. The Gatorade is cold, sweet, and refreshing. After taking a long swig, I already feel a little bit better. Or maybe it's just the relief of having a few minutes away from my parents and the desperate beeping Laura watch. So I'm getting the impression things weren't as rosy with your sister as your parents were making them out to be, Officer Hall says, putting her soda can down on the table between out-of-date copies of People magazine and Car and Driver. Am I right? Yeah, my parents are pretending that everything was fine because that's what they always do. But she was a total mess. Do you mind if I take some notes? Officer Hall asks. No, I guess it's fine. When you say a total mess, in what way? I pick at the label of the Gatorade. Well, Lara used to be she wasn't always as thin as she is now, and in middle school, the other girls gave her a really hard time. Like, instead of Lara, they called her Lardo and Lardosaurus, stuff like that. Officer Hall frowns, her lips a thin, grim line. Yes, I do know, unfortunately. And how did Laura take that? Badly. She was crying in her room a lot. And then Mom would nag her about stuff she was eating because she thought if Laura lost weight, kids wouldn't tease her. But then Laura would sneak food into her room, and then Mom would scream at her when she found the food. It was pretty ugly. I can imagine, Officer Hall says, scribbling in her little notebook. I wonder if she really can imagine what it's like to be in your room, curled up on the bed, clutching the teddy bear you tell your friends you don't sleep with anymore for comfort because the sound of your mom screaming and your sister sobbing scares you. Wishing that they would all just be okay, that Lara would be happy and Mom would be calm and things would be normal like they were in other people's houses. Why did you become a cop? I ask her, curious suddenly. She puts the notebook down in her lap and fidgets with the pen. Runs in the family, she says. My dad's a cop. His dad was a cop. My older brother too. My dad's an engineer, I tell her. But I don't want to be one. No way. What do you want to do? She asks me. How am I supposed to know? I'm in 8th grade. She laughs. Good point. Just because my future was mapped out, it doesn't mean that everyone else's is. Picking up the notebook, she gets back to Lara. Because it's always, really, about Lara, never about me. Tell me about the depression. When did that start? I can't remember exactly. I think it was when she was in 7th grade. She got mad at me because I asked in front of Mom and Dad why she was crying every night in her room. That's what made my parents send her to a shrink, finally. What about friends? Does Laura have many friends? Some. There's Julissa and Luis Cotto. They're twins. And she just made the cheerleading team, and she's been hanging out with this girl, Ashley, a lot. Do you know Ashley's last name? Something begins with a T, Tra, something. Anyone else? Not that I can think of. She used to be best friends with this girl, Bree Connors, who lives next door, but they don't hang out much anymore. Your parents said Laura was doing better. Has she ever shown any suicidal tendencies? Immediately, I think of all those nights listening through the wall to Laura sobbing, hearing her long, tearful video chats with Bree, where she'd say how she couldn't stand another day at school, how she wished she were dead. I'd be lying in bed scared that it might happen, but sometimes wondering what it would be like to be an only child. Hoping God would forgive me because I hated myself for wondering that. We're going to come back to this. This is an important piece of information. Yeah. When she was in middle school, when things were really bad, she used to talk about stuff like that, but not recently. She's been in a good mood lately. That's why this is all so messed up. It doesn't make sense. A young person trying to take her own life never makes sense to me. Officer Hall sighs, closing her notebook. I guess I should get back, I say, even though the thought of going back to Laura's bedside with my parents' desperation and the slow beeping of the machines makes my stomach clench. Sure, I'll walk with you, Officer Hall says. She squeaks back down the hall next to me to where Officer Tim is waiting outside Laura's room. My parents are back in position on either side of Laura, holding her hands. There's no obvious place for me. Thanks for speaking with me, Sydney, Officer Hall says. Thanks for the Gatorade. I have to force myself to go back into the room to join the vigil. I'm too amped from the Gatorade to sit down, so I slouch in the corner, moving my weight from one foot to the other, wishing I could go home and take that shower for my audition. Mom is reciting the Lord's Prayer. I don't know what to do, so I just keep thinking. Please, 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 wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. And then, almost as if she's heard me, Laura's eyelids start to flutter. Pete, I think she's coming to, Mom half whispers, half sobs. Lara, sweetheart, can you hear me? It's Dad, my father says, squeezing my sister's hand so hard I'm surprised he doesn't wake up. She doesn't wake up just to tell him to stop breaking her fingers. She groans. The machines start beeping faster. Sid, go get the nurse, Dad orders. By the time I get to the door, the nurse in panda print scrubs is already on her way in. She races to Laura's side, eyeing the monitors. Lara, open your eyes for me, the nurse says. Your parents are here and your sister. They want to see you. She tells Mom and Dad to keep talking to Lara. Wake up, darling, she says. We love you. Come on, honey, you can do it, Dad urges. Lara, wake up. I'm sorry. I'm laughing because that's just such a funny and totally real thing that would happen, right? Like her parents saying like, oh, honey, we love you. Come on, honey, you can do it. And Sydney's just like so through with it. She's just like, get up, Laura. Lara, wake up, I shout suddenly, fed up with the waiting. With Lara, with everything and everyone. Mad that it looks like I'm going to miss auditions tomorrow because of my sister and her never-ending drama. She groans and tosses her head back and forth on the pillow. Dad turns to me angrily and is about to open his mouth to tell me to be quiet or something, but Mom gasps because Laura's eyes have fluttered open. Welcome back, the nurse says. Thank goodness, Dad says, grabbing Laura's hand and kissing it. Mom sobs with relief. Lara is trying to pull at the tube in her throat. Leave that, honey, the nurse says. We have to wait for the doctor to come in and make sure it's okay to take it out. Lara looks scared and confused, her eyes blinking from the brightness of the lights. You're at Central Hospital, the nurse says. You overdosed on medication. The nurse shines a pen light in Laura's pupils to see if they contract. As she checks Laura's reflexes, a doctor comes in wearing a white lab coat over his scrubs. He talks with the nurse, looks at Laura's chart, and then moves to Laura's head. Laura, I'm Dr. Delman. We're going to remove the breathing tube now. I want you to exhale on the count of 3. Not if you understand what I'm saying. My sister's head moves up and down slowly, her eyes blinking as if she's in pain. Okay, here we go, Lara. 1, 2, 3. I have to turn the other way and close my eyes because the thought of it makes me squeamish. But I can't close my ears, and I hear Laura groan and gag, followed by Mom's sharp intake of breath. I guess that means the tube is out, so it's safe to look again. Your throat might feel a little sore for a while, the doctor tells her. You can try gargling with salt water or drinking some warm water with honey and lemon. Laura looks at him, her eyes wide and shadowed. I get the impression warm water with honey and lemon is the last thing on her mind. I wish I knew what was on her mind. I wish I knew what made her do this when everything seemed to be going so well for her. Why did she have to mess up things for me when I'd been working so hard for auditions? I deserve an explanation. But I know better than to ask. I'll just get a lecture about how self-centered I am and how can I be thinking of myself at a time like this, because it's all about Lara, just like it always is. Turns out I don't have to ask. My father is the one who can't hold back from uttering the question we're all wondering. Why did you do it, Laura? Why? The heart rate monitor starts beeping faster. Laura closes her eyes. My mother hisses, Pete, and gives Dad an angry look. Better him than me. A tear trickles slowly from the corner of Laura's eye down her skim milk-colored cheek. When she says the word, it's so faint we barely hear it. Christian. Okay, so really quick, let's go back real quick because we're going to talk about Sydney. So Sydney definitely feels the resentment. That's what we're talking about, is she feels a huge amount of resentment to Lara because Lara has been getting all of the attention, right? Like, since Laura's been in 7th grade, she's been getting all this attention because, like, not necessarily for, like, good reasons, but because of her issues with her self-esteem and how other people were bullying her and that kind of stuff. And so it's made Sydney feel a little like she's been shoved to the side. And I don't necessarily blame her for this. You know, obviously, like, yes, like she says, why did she have to mess things up for me, right? When I'd been working so hard on auditions, right? She's thinking about herself. And then she's like so totally self-aware of this though, right? She's just like, I'll just get a lecture about how self-centered I am, because like she knows, like, how could she be thinking of this at a time like this? Going back to that thing, she says, sometimes I wonder what it would be like to be an only child, hoping God would forgive me because I hated myself for wondering that, right? Like, so on the one hand, she feels really just completely ignored by her parents, you know, like, just completely ignored. And on the other hand, she feels bad that Laura's been going through all of this and clearly doesn't like it. Going back really quick to where Laura's talking about how like she hears her sister sobbing all the time and her mom screaming, and how it's just like that's got to be pretty traumatizing, like Sydney's only in 8th grade. So, and Laura's 15, which means she's a freshman. So this has been going on for like 2 years. So Sydney must have been in 5th or 6th grade when this was going on, which is still pretty, still pretty young to be going through, to be hearing all of this and to be exposed to all of this. And so it's like it's gotten to her over time, right? Like she's seeing all of this stuff happening with Laura, like, and all this attention, this special time that she gets with dad, right? She says, right here, she like, puts that special time, and she even says like, I didn't get any of that, and I'm not trying to kill myself, like I definitely have like she's like almost saying like I have a reason more than you do, Laura, because I'm the one who isn't paid attention to. So, Sydney is definitely coming from the perspective of the ignored little sister, and we can't really blame her too much for that because or maybe we can't. Maybe she should be a better sister. I don't know. You guys put it on you. I don't personally think she is really that, I don't think she should feel that guilty, but at the same time, like she does, Okay. Moving on. We're going to hear from Liam's perspective. And if you remember, Liam is Bree's younger brother who saw her take pictures of Lara as she was being carried off to the hospital, which is, it's not good. He didn't like it. So let's see from his perspective, what he has to say. This is not a long chapter, is it? No, it's like 1 page. All right. Liam, I can't believe Bree took pictures. Even worse, I can't believe she posted them. Why does she think that's okay? I checked Sydney's Facebook to see if she's posted an update about Lara, but there's nothing. So there you go. Sydney and her family have not been on Facebook. Her last update is from earlier today, a selfie with her friends, Cara and Maddie, with the caption, "Break a leg, ready for Beauty and the Beast auditions tomorrow." Her bright smile is in total contrast to how pale and totally freaked out she looked as she followed her mom to the car after Lara was put in the ambulance. I wanted to call out to her. I wanted to say, I don't know, that I'm here. That even if we haven't hung out for a while, even if Bree and Lara aren't friends anymore, that I'm still here. But my friend Spencer was standing next to me, and he's one of the major reasons I stopped hanging out with Sid so much in the first place. He started with the Sid and Liam sitting in a tree stuff in 5th grade, hassling me nonstop about whether she was my girlfriend or not. By the time we got to middle school, he had started telling the other guys I was probably gay because I spent all this time with Sid and hadn't even tried to kiss her. No way I could let people believe that, because I want to have a girlfriend someday. I guess I could have lied and said I did kiss her, but that didn't seem right either. So I drifted away from Sid, pretending I was too busy to hang out. And I never told her why, which was a jerk move, now that I think about it. Some friend. Maybe I can make up for it. Maybe I'll text Sid to see if she's okay. I pick up my cell, thumbs hovering over the touchscreen, and then I put it down, sighing, because I'm afraid she'll think I'm trying to get info on Laura's condition to post on Facebook, just like my awful sister. Aw. Okay, so Liam is really sweet, and I think maybe that Liam, he's been friends with Sydney, like they've known each other for a while. And it does kind of sound like he likes her, you know. But he never really got the opportunity to like say to her, "Hey, I like you," right? It was kind of awkward because they were friends, and then it's like you're growing up and you're like, okay, how do I tell this person that I like them? So, okay, let's keep going. Bree. Speaking of Liam's awful sister, Bree. A bunch of people piled onto Christian's post on Laura's Facebook page saying, yeah, Laura's fat and ugly, and some of the kids who went to our middle school even brought up the nickname she hated so much, Lardo. It's crazy. There are like 20 comments, just one thing after another. A few people say Christian's a jerk and ask where does he get off saying stuff like that? But someone else even comes out and says, why doesn't Laura kill herself? I wonder if she saw that before she decided to, do whatever she did that made the ambulance come. And I wonder, What will happen if she dies? Oh God. What if she's already dead? I check my Facebook page. There are 50 likes on the picture of Lara on the stretcher being wheeled to the ambulance, and it's been shared a bunch of times. People are already speculating in the comments. She looks dead. Is Lardosaurus dead? R.I.P. Lardo. Corpse girl. Mom's still not home. I wish he would get here. And then I remember Liam. My brother is in his room doing his homework. He's got his headphones on and his foot is tapping to a beat I can't hear. Liam and I have always marched to different drummers, or however that saying goes. When I tap him on the shoulder, he jumps. Sheesh, Bree, why'd you sneak up on me like that? I didn't sneak. You just play your music obnoxiously loud. Yeah, sounds like some people I know. What do you want? I'm busy. I hesitate, trying to figure out the best way to handle him. I need his help. He can find out what I need to know so badly. I'm really worried about Laura, I tell him. You're still friends with Sydney, right? Can you text her to see how Laura's doing? All right, Snowy VR. We get it. He takes off his headphones and stares at me without saying a word. I get this feeling I'm being judged, and hard. Why do you care? He asks. His eyes narrowed on me like thin green lasers. I expect him to give me some attitude, but not to ask me like that. Ask me that. What do you mean, why do I care? You haven't been friends with Laura for over a year, and now you're so worried, Liam says. Why do you really want me to text Sid? So you can post something else? I'd be lying if I said that I didn't want to be the first one to post whatever news there was about Lara. Who wouldn't? But that's not the only reason I want him to text her sister to find out how she is. It's because I never thought about death being so real, so permanent. Death's always been for old people like grandparents or people far away who are killed in wars that you hear about when your social studies teacher talks about current events or your parents flick past the news on cable. It's not something that happens to someone I know that I used to be best friends with. It has nothing to do with Facebook, I half lie, pretending to be really offended. Why would you even think that? Maybe because you posted that picture of her passed out on a stretcher being taken to the hospital, Liam says. I mean, come on, Bree. How could you do that? It's so wrong. Why do you care? Because Sydney's my friend, he says. And because you're my sister. So when you do sick stuff like that, people think I'm a loser too. How does it make me a loser when that post already has 50 likes? If anyone's a loser in this family, it's Liam. He doesn't understand. But I can't say anything because I need him to send that text. So I try a new tack. If you're such good friends, why wouldn't you text Sid? Don't you want to know if Laura's okay or if she's, I can't bring myself to say the word. And without even having to pretend, my voice chokes up and I have tears in my eyes. My tears are what convince Liam that this isn't just about a Facebook update. Okay, he says, I'll do it. He reaches for his cell and starts to text. What he doesn't realize is that I'm crying because I'm scared. Okay, so, for Bree's really interesting, right? Because she goes back and forth between like clearly being like scared and like worried about Lara being possibly dead, to like being like, oh, there's 50 likes on the picture of Laura that I posted on Facebook. Look at how awesome I am. Like, I'm not a loser because I have 50 likes. Like, come on, Bree. Like, get yourself together, girl. What else did she say? What else did she like? Oh, here we go. I wonder if she saw that before she decided to, she can't even say the word suicide, like commit suicide, because that's like weird, right? Is that Bree is like so like trying to get in Laura's business and trying to find out what happened to Laura, but then at the same time she doesn't want to like say that Laura killed herself or tried to kill herself or is dead. Like she's just like, I don't want to say it. Like, it's weird. Bree is a really weird character, and the way she talks is very strange too. And the way her thought processes go, because like she clearly does want to know about Laura, so she can post it on Facebook because she likes the clout, right? She's a clout chaser, as we call her, right? Um, but it's also weird because like at the same time, she's also like concerned in a way, like and fearful of this event happening because it's like hasn't happened to her or anyone around her yet. So it's kind of like weird. It's kind of weird. All right, let's keep going. Going back to Lara. She's awake. Lara. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come. Pete! I think she's coming too. Beep, 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 beep. Lara, sweetheart, can you hear me? It's Dad. Ow, hand hurts. Dad hurt me. Tell him. Mouth not working. Beep, 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 beep. Sid, go get the nurse. Lara, open your eyes for me. Your parents are here and your sister, they want to see you. Who's that? Wake up, darling. We love you. Mommy. Love can't fix me. Too tired. Beep, 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 beep. Come on, honey. You can do it. No, Daddy, I can't. Want to sleep. Parents sound like they're at the end of a bad connection. Want to hang up. Too sleepy to talk. Lara, wake up. Sid. Everyone else is soft and pleading. Sid is mad. Why so mad? Doesn't she understand? Too tired. Shake head no. Don't hate me. Try talking. Why mouth not working? There's something in it. Throat hurts. Have to leave cocoon. Don't want to. But Sid mad. Open eyes. Eyelids stuck. Won't open. Crack open. Light so bright. Close again. Too bright. Eyes open. Room so bright. Beep. 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 Welcome back, a lady says, wearing a scrub shirt with pandas on it. Black and white pandas, purple shirt, happy pandas. Panda's so, so, so happy. I am sad. Sad panda. Thank goodness. My dad kisses my hand. Mom next to the bed, sobbing. What happened? Where am I? Why is everyone acting like I died? Masks over my face. Smells like plastic. Thing in my throat hurts. Tried to get it out, but hand shaky and weak, like newborn baby. Tubes in my hand hurts. Everything hurts. Panda nurse tells me to leave the tube in my throat. The doctor is coming to take it out. You're at General Hospital, she explains. You overdosed on medication. Christian. You're a loser, 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 loser. The world would be a better place without you in it. I failed. I can't even get that right. Wanted it to be over and it's not. It's not over. It's not over. It's not over. It's not her. Hurt, 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 hurt. No, 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 no. Brightness, a painful spotlight in one eye, then the other. Seeing spots. Want to go back to sleep. Get away from the pain. Get away from the memory. Get away from everything. Panda nurse taps my elbow with a rubber hammer. Beep, 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 beep. Man with glasses standing over me. See shoulder of his white coat. Lara, I'm Dr. Delman. We're going to remove the breathing tube now. I want you to exhale on the count of 3. Not if you understand what I'm saying. Move my head slowly. So tired. Brain hurts. Head hurts. Throat hurts. Okay, here we go, Lara. 1, 2, 3. Exhale. Less pressure in my throat and the tube slides out. Moan. Gag. Your throat might feel a little sore for a while, the doctor says. You can try gargling with salt water or drinking some warm water with honey and lemon. I hate reading that line, I gotta say. I had to read it twice and it was awful both times. Okay. It does hurt. More than a little. Everything does. Hurts. Especially if I know. Why did you do it, Lara? Why? My father's voice. Daddy, no. I shut my eyes. Want to go back to sleep. Don't want to think. Don't want to feel. Don't want to remember why. It hurts. Daddy, Mommy, it hurts too much to remember. I want to go back to sleep. Moving head side to side, trying to shake away thoughts, trying not to remember again. But then I see his face. I see the words he wrote. I see them on my computer screen, see them etched into my brain, feel them etched into my heart, know them deep in my soul, remembering. Don't want to remember. Don't want to live. Tears roll down my cheek. Christian. Was that Christian, she said? Doctor is asking. Are they going to do something to him? I shouldn't have said it. Open my eyes. This is real. This is happening. It was supposed to be over. Instead of making it better, I've just made it worse. Panda nurse tapping my knee with the rubber hammer. Involuntary movement. I'm awake, involuntarily. I want to go back to sleep. Is Christian her boyfriend? That sounds like Panda nurse. Beep, 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 beep. I think, maybe. He hates me. He told me the world would be a better place without me in it. I still don't know why, but it hurts. It still hurts so badly. I don't want to be awake. I don't want to be here. I wasn't supposed to be here. Not that we know of, Mom says. She doesn't have a boyfriend. She's friends with someone named Christian on Facebook and what? How can people? Sydney's talking, but now she's crying. Give me your phone, Daddy. He's angry. Daddy's swearing. Who are these sick punks? What kind of kids would write this stuff? I don't want to know. Please don't make me know. I don't want to feel. Please let me go back to sleep, back to sleep, back to sleep, back to sleep. Let me forget it hurts. It hurts, it hurts, it hurts, it hurts. I hurt. This is such a sad chapter and such a hard chapter to read. This is why I give the warning. It's really not the suicide, I feel like, is the problem. The problem is, like, you see from Laura's perspective and you really get to see, like, why she wanted to kill herself. And it is because this person hurt her so badly that she just doesn't want to feel anymore, which is, like, so horrible to, like, be in that situation that you don't, like, the only thing that you can think of as another option is to, like, leave this earth. Which is wild, and it's such a hard thing to read, and it's so hard because clearly, you know, she's clearly had some trouble. Like, that's, like, the whole point of the book is she's had this history. But also, like, you know, this incident has basically, like, set her back to the place where she was when people were bullying her and making fun of her. So, it set her so far back that she's like, you know, like, she finally did try to kill herself. You know, it wasn't, she didn't have any attempts before this, right? Like, she was in middle school. She just said stuff like, I didn't want to be alive anymore and didn't want to, you know, have to feel anymore. But now she's actually gone through with it and, you know, she survived and now she's having to deal with the ramifications of what she's done and having to remember why she did it. And now it's like, and she said, I've just made it worse. And that's, I mean, like, that's such an awful feeling to have. It's just such an awful feeling to have. Thank you for your input, Pineapple Art. Thank you so much. We shall see. Okay, Sydney. All right, so Laura has woken up. They've discovered the Facebook posts. Now's when stuff's going to get really interesting. Okay. Mom's on the phone with the police who've left the hospital telling them about this Christian DeWitt, which is his full name according to his Facebook profile. She tried to get Laura to tell her as much as she could, but Laura's pretty out of it. So Mom hasn't been able to get much info. Dad wants to go find this Christian guy and rip him limb from limb. And then when he's done, go find all the other jerks who wrote nasty stuff about Lara on her wall and do the same thing to them. He made me take a zillion screenshots on my cell of Laura's profile and Christian's profile and his friend list and all the people who commented on Laura's wall, and then email them to him so he can start his personal investigation and vendetta. Mom keeps telling him he has to calm down and let the police deal with it. Calm down. Our daughter almost died, Kathy, Dad hisses, and these animals are telling her she's fat and ugly and saying she's better off dead. Who does that? What kind of sick world do we live in? I don't know, Mom says, but getting yourself arrested for assault isn't going to help Lara or me. Don't forget, I've got an election coming up in November. Okay. As if any of us could forget that for a second. Our daughter is lying in a hospital bed and you're bringing up the election? Dad's voice is starting to rise. Mom tells him to lower it so he doesn't make a scene. Hate to break it to you, Mom, but I think the scene has already been well and truly made. So true. I take out my cell to check the time. There are like a gazillion texts from Maddie and Kara, but I'm not up to reading them now. I just want to go home. It's already so late, I can forget about washing my hair. I'll be lucky if I even get any sleep before auditions. Like, I know this is a crisis and my sister is in really bad shape. Again. But I'm so sick of being treated like a second-class kid just because Lara is messed up. It's not fair. I'm probably going to win the worst daughter in the world award for asking to leave, but I decide to do it anyway. Mom, Dad, I know it's a bad time, but when are we going to go home? I have auditions tomorrow. Mom looks like she's about to explode and is trying very hard to hold it together. Sydney, do you understand what is going on here? She says to me like I'm a 3-year-old, which just sets my teeth on edge. Yeah, I understand perfectly, Mom. Lara tried to kill herself, which is really, really awful. I was scared she was going to die just like you were. Now she's going to be okay. I'm happy and relieved about that. Honestly, I am. But that doesn't take away from the fact that Lara's messing my life up again, like she always does. Mom opens her mouth, probably to tell me how awful and selfish I am, but Dad gestures for her to be quiet. I'm just gotta say real quick, this is a really, what's the word? Articulate 8th grader. It's a really articulate 8th grader, right? To be able to say like all of this in like a coherent way that's not emotionally driven at all. Like I felt like that was very logical of Sydney. Sydney's probably gotten really good at being able to logically declare her feelings because she doesn't get a lot of attention. Mom, I already said read that part. He puts down his arm around me and guides me down the hallway from Lara watch and my angry mother, who, as usual, doesn't understand me. I need a snack. How about you? I want to go home, I tell him, my voice cracking despite all my best efforts to stay cool. I want to be able to audition for the musical tomorrow. I don't want Lara to ruin this like she does everything. Dad stops and turns me so I'm facing him, with his hands on my shoulders. He looks down at me, and when I notice the shadows and lines around his eyes, I feel bad for causing him more problems. But then my fists clench, because why should I always have to be the one who feels bad? I've worked hard, and now Laura's screwing things up for me. Story of my life. Honey, I know this seems unfair to you, Dad says. It is unfair. There's nothing fair about it. So, how come we can't go home then? I've got 2 parents here, and they each have a car. One of them could drive me home. Dad sighs heavily. Because we're a family, and we love and support each other. We're part of a team. Sometimes, he says, patting my shoulder, you just have to take one for the team. I shrug his hand off my shoulder. I can't believe this is happening again. Actually, I can't. That's what's so messed up about it. How come it's always me who has to take one for the team? I ask, fighting a lump of angry tears in my throat. When is it going to be someone else's turn? Someone else, like Laura, for example. But of course, I can't say that, especially not now. Oh, honey, I know. Do you, Dad? Dad hugs me, but I stand stiffly. I don't want his hug right now. I just want him to take me home. But that's not going to happen. My phone buzzes with an incoming text. Go back to Laura, I say. I'll be taking one for the team in the family waiting room. I can tell he's torn. I'm sorry. Go back here. I can tell he's torn. He wants to be by Laura's side, but he's trying to make it up to me for missing auditions. Like taking me for some crummy hospital cafeteria food. Oh, yeah, could actually do that. Nice try, Dad. Are you sure you're not hungry? Dad asks. I'll come get you if I am. He kisses the top of my head and heads back to Lara, the important child. I walk to the visitor's lounge to read my text. I need time away from the family drama to be angry on my own. The text is from Liam. Hey, Sid. Saw Laura taken in an ambulance. Is she okay? Are you okay? I hesitate before texting him back. Ever since Lara and Bree stopped being friends, it's been kind of awkward for us. Like before, our families used to hang out and do stuff together all the time. Our dads even built a tree fort in the huge oak tree in the Connors' backyard when we were younger. It was supposed to be for all of us, but Lara and Bree made it theirs, telling Liam and me that we weren't welcome because we didn't know whatever stupid secret passwords they made up. Back then, it was Lara and Bree against the two of us, despised younger siblings, until Laura started having problems in middle school, and eventually they started hating on each other instead. Even after Lara and Bree stopped being friends, Liam and I still hung out. But then once we got to middle school, he started acting all weird, like I'd suddenly developed a highly contagious disease. It's only recently we started talking again. Still, it's kind of out of the blue for him to text me. It's only because he asks about me, not just about Laura, that I decide to text him back. Because he cares about how I'm doing too. At least someone does. Laura awake, mom's talking to police, me equals want to go home. Wow. Glad she's okay. Maybe you can go home soon. Do you know what made her do it? Did you see her Facebook page? I'm sorry. Did you see her FB page? What that guy Christian wrote? No. Hold on. I flipped through the pages of a 2-month-old People magazine while waiting for him to look up Lara's page. I skip anything that has to do with real life stories. The Kelly family has its own people drama going on, thanks. I stick to deciding who wears it better on the fashion face-off. My phone buzzes. I can't believe it. Man, people are sick. I'm so sorry. It's not your fault. Well, I'm really sorry for that pic Bree posted on her FB page. I swear, I'm embarrassed we're related right now. Picture Bree posted? What picture? I go to Facebook on my phone and look up Bree's page. When I do, I want to throw up or throw the phone away, or better yet, at someone, namely Bree Connors. Bree posted a picture of my unconscious sister being wheeled toward the ambulance. As if that weren't bad enough, it had 77 likes. And although there are some expressions of concern and sympathy, some of the comments underneath are so awful, so cruel, that they make me hate Bree, hate Liam, hate everyone in the entire world. Sid? I switch off my phone. I don't care if he's sorry. I can't text with him right now. I want to shut off the entire disgusting, mean, insane world. And as I think of that, I suddenly understand what might have made Lara do it. It's not easy being Lara's sister. If she weren't my sister, I probably wouldn't be her friend. But she is my sister. And nobody, sister or no sister, deserves what I just saw on that page. So true. So true, Sydney. So freaking true. Okay, so Sydney, I feel like I said earlier, she's super articulate. And she is really thinking about herself here. This whole conversation with dad about wanting to leave and wanting to, prepare for auditions. Um, you know, it's not the time, you kind of just have to say, well, the auditions are a wash at this point, right? Like, probably not going to happen. Sorry, Sydney. Probably not going to get to audition for that. But she does have an interaction with Liam, right? Which is an important event because he tells her that Bree posted that picture. So Sydney's already seen the posts on Laura's Facebook, and now she's been able to pick up on Bree's posts as well. And this has made it worse for Liam, unfortunately. He was hoping that they would be able to connect and he would be able to say, hey, I'm not cool with this, with Bree posting that picture. So I just want you to know, but it kind of backfired on him because she hates him now and hates everything. Sydney hates everything, and she gets it. She kind of understands Lara a little bit better about what's been going on, with her and the stuff that people are saying on social media about her. Okay, back to Bree. My picture of Lara has 104 likes and 15 shares by the time mom gets home. That's the most I've ever gotten on any picture or status update ever. Wonder if I should Instagram it. #call911. Disgusting. Disgusting. Tell me everything, mom says, putting a bag of groceries on the kitchen counter. How could you stop and wheel a cart around the supermarket like nothing happened? I ask her. Aren't you at all, freaked out by this? Mom has her hand in the bag, starting to unload it, and she stops and gives me an exasperated look. I assume you want dinner, Brianna, and if that's the case, then someone, namely me, had to get food to make it with. She takes out a package of chicken. Unless you have a better idea, which of course I don't, and Mom knows that when I blush and say nothing. Just tell me what happened, she says. We heard the sirens. Like when I called you, the police car came first, then the ambulance. All the neighbors were outside the Kelly's house watching. Then the medics wheeled Lara out on the stretcher, put her in an ambulance, and drove away with the lights and sirens. She tried to kill herself. Yeah, and Bree took a picture of her and posted it on Facebook. My brother is standing in the doorway of the kitchen, narrow-eyed, cell phone in hand. You what? Then I see my mom's expression. It's like when you're at the beach and you see that really huge wave coming toward you and you don't know if you should try to ride it or dive under. And if you hesitate too long, you'll get nailed by it. I wait a second too long to answer and Mom goes nuclear. I love Liam, by the way. I love him. I love him coming out and outing Bree. Like, I just love that. And just being like, yeah, and Bree did this really crappy thing. Mom goes nuclear. Brianna Marie Connors, what part of hang tight and stay inside didn't you understand? I told you to stay in the house and make sure Liam did too. Simple instructions, not rocket science. It's so unfair. Liam was the one who disobeyed Mom first, but I get the grief? And she makes out like I'm stupid, as usual. Liam wouldn't listen. I told him you said to stay in, and he completely ignored me and walked straight out the door. He's the one who went out first. Is that true? Mom turns to Liam, who's leaning against the door jamb. He glares back at her defiantly. Yeah, they're our friends, right? I thought they might need help. Isn't that what friends are supposed to do? Mom's lips purse, and I know he's got her there. Sure, Laura and I have drifted apart, but at least on the surface, my parents and the Kellys are still friendly. Helping doesn't mean taking pictures and posting them on Facebook, Mom snaps. I wouldn't do that, Liam said, not hiding his disgust with me. He nods in my direction. That's Miss I'll do anything no matter how sick to get likes on Facebook. We call them clout chasers, Liam. Mom takes off her suit jacket slowly and deliberately, and I feel acid in the back of my throat because I know I'm about to be hit by another wave of her anger at any moment. Liam, I need to speak to your sister privately, she says. Here it comes. Wait, before I go, I wanted to tell you. I texted Sid, and Laura's awake, Liam says. I feel tears well up, but this time they're ones of relief. That's so great to hear. Thanks for letting me know, Lee. Just going to highlight this. We're going to highlight in Bree's color, which I'm making blue. Okay. Yes, it is, Mom agrees, looking at me from the corner of her eye. Mrs. Kelly is talking to the police, Liam adds, like it's just some random factoid that he's just happening to mention. That is so not great news. What do you mean the police? I ask, trying to keep my voice steady. Liam looks at me like I'm some kind of idiot. The police always ask questions in the event of a suicide attempt, Bree, Mom says, giving me a hushed up look. Sid says it's because of some guy named Christian. Did you see what he wrote on her wall? The sound that comes from the back of my throat escapes despite my attempts to stifle it. Don't tell me you're friends with that guy, Bree, Liam says. What a jerk. Christian who? Mom asks. Her voice is calm, almost nonchalant, like she's never heard of anyone named Christian, ever. Christian DeWitt. He wrote all this sick stuff on Laura's page, Mom, Liam replies. My eyes are trained on the point where the wooden table leg meets the floor. It's where food and dust bunnies collect if you don't clean the floor enough, which sometimes Mom doesn't because she's too busy at work, so she makes me do it. Once I did a half-hearted job of sweeping and mopping the kitchen floor, and that's the first place she checked because she knew I'd do a lousy job because that's the kind of kid you are. As in, I'm not a go-getter who makes her own luck like she is. So I'm never going to get anywhere in this world. She knew all that because of 2 missed Cheerios and a small dust bunny. If I keep my eyes focused on that spot, they can't give anything away. This whole thing right here, right? This whole little story that Bree gives is very telling about the type of person that she is. Because clearly her mom has a really high standard for Bree, like really high, and Bree has just like forever not been able to attain it. And so like these moments of this specific memory that she's having, like this very very specific memory that she's having is like a example of how she just feels completely inadequate when it comes to her mom, like not living up to what her mom expects of her. And like I think that's probably why Bree posts so much on Facebook and is like so excited at the beginning of this chapter about the 104 likes and the 15 shares and all that kind of stuff, because she doesn't get that kind of like um what's the word, affirmation, is that our vocabulary word? She doesn't get that kind of affirmation from her mom, you know, like probably the person she wants it the most from. So she's like seeking like ways to get that kind of affirmation from others. And the best way to do that is by putting stuff online and getting people to like it and comment and share it and say things. And so it's like positive things that she's receiving for doing not so positive things. Um yeah. Okay. I know this is very unsettling, Liam, but Laura has never been the most stable girl, has she? Mom says. Remember what a mess she was in middle school? Mom's finished unloading the groceries and she takes out the chopping board and a knife to start preparing dinner. To be honest, I wasn't that unhappy that she and Bree started drifting apart, Mom continues. I was worried it might get unhealthy for Bree to continue to hang out with her so much. Weird. She never told me that. In fact, if anything, I felt the opposite because Mom has always been so obsessed with Mrs. Kelly. She started copying the way she dressed and the way she spoke, and she always laughed a little too loudly whenever Mr. Kelly made a joke. If Laura and I weren't going to be BFFs anymore, it gave her less reason to be BFFs with Mr. and Mrs. Kelly. I don't get it. How does that matter now? Liam asks. I abandon my table leg staring to look at him because he's taking this so seriously. Are you saying just because Laura was kind of a head case in middle school, it's okay for all those kids to write that stuff on her wall? No, but because that's just wrong, Liam interrupts Mom before she can even finish her sentence. Like, to the end of the universe and back wrong. Liam, I'm not saying it's right for anyone to write things on Lara's wall, Mom says. But let's face it, a more stable child probably wouldn't have ended up in the hospital. Liam crosses his arms over his chest. He's not buying what Mom's selling. They're our friends. Dad and Mr. Kelly built the tree fort together. How can you be so... He trails off, searching for the words to describe the ways he finds Mom and me lacking. Unable to find it, he punches the door jamb and shouts, "Forget it," before stomping upstairs and slamming his door. And then it's just me and Mom. She glares at me, eyes narrowed, almost slits, and hisses, "What were you thinking?" Okay, this whole chapter is like super important to the rest of the book, because all of this interaction, all of this stuff that Bree and Mom and Liam were talking about is gonna come up later. Okay, let's keep going. Lara. Christian said I was a loser. He said the world would be a better place without me in it. And now I'm a loser at trying to make that happen. Everyone expects me to be happy that I failed, but I'm not, which is why I can't have shoelaces or a belt, and they make me open my mouth after they've given me my pills to make sure I've swallowed them. And they do bed checks every few hours to make sure I haven't hanged myself with the sheets so I can't even get a good night's sleep. And I want to sleep all the time because when I'm asleep, I'm not here. Not here in this place where every moment is watched, where everything I say is being turned over and analyzed and making me want to curl up into myself and say nothing. It's bad if I say nothing. It means they'll just keep me here longer. So I have to say something. I'm searching for the magic words to get out of here. Abracadabra, Alohomora. There are get well soon cards on the dresser from my family and friends. Mom said my friends Julissa and Luis want to visit. I told her that I'm not up to visitors yet, not even them. The truth is, I don't want Jaleesa and Luis to see me in this place, this prison filled with crazy people like me. Luis thought I was crazy enough when I tried out for cheerleading. He must think I'm completely loco now. The cheerleading team sent flowers. They're beautiful, roses and carnations and daisies and cheerful yellows, pinks, and whites. But they're arranged in an ugly plastic male urinal. I'm sorry, Laura, glass vases aren't allowed, the nurse told me. I pretend to be excited about the flowers and the cards. I pretend that I can't wait to get out of here to see my friends. I have to find the words to convince them that I'm fine, that everything is perfect. Maybe I should ask Mom. She's the expert on that. This is very telling, right? Like not only I love this book because we really kind of get to see the interactions between the girls and their parents, and we get to see both Sydney and Lara and Liam and Bree's perspectives of their parents and how they're like dealing with all of this, right? Because like it's pretty telling. It's pretty telling like what kind of parents they are and how they want their lives and children to be, right? Like clearly Bree's mom wants them to be like just like the Kellys, right? Because she seems to like envy them, while Laura's parents' mom specifically wants her kids to be perfect because she's a politician and that's the way they're supposed to look, right? Especially when she's like, like I have to convince them that everything is perfect. It's very telling. Okay, let's keep going. Liam. In conclusion, science, technology, engineering, and math are more important than the arts. My friend Oliver says, the future of our country depends on graduating students who are proficient in STEM subjects, so we have limited resources to spend on education. We shouldn't waste them on unnecessary subjects like music and art. Today's debate club topic is all public schools should provide students with music and arts education. I argued the premise. Last night, Mom heard me practicing and said, no one better raise my taxes to pay for kids to waste time finger painting. I closed my bedroom door and practiced in a quieter voice, almost a whisper. I knew there was no point telling Mom about the research I'd found to back up my argument about how arts education helps kids develop creative thinking, problem solving, and communication skills. Mom's more convinced by dollars and cents than common sense. Liam, your rebuttal, Mr. Phillips says. I go up to the podium. Oliver smirks from the front row. He's convinced he has this debate in the bag. Those who say that music and arts education is unnecessary don't recognize that the arts are a language spoken by everyone, reaching across cultural, social, economic, and racial barriers, I say, thinking of my mother. They help us learn empathy, to understand how someone else feels, and to experience his or her emotions as our own. And in an increasingly global and interconnected world, this is essential to achieve both economic and political success. People clap when I'm done. I don't have my soundboard. Oh man, that would have really been a perfect thing. Okay, we're clapping. Yay, good job, Liam. That was the best. I'm so with Liam on that. Yes, the arts are awesome. We need to fund them. The first guy, Oliver, yeah, he was definitely wrong. And same with Liam's mom. It's so funny that Liam's mom is like on the opposite end of him because it's totally seen in the earlier chapters. Okay. People clap when I'm done. Yes. Not only that, as I sit down, I notice I've wiped the smirk off Oliver's face. We may be friends, but we both like to win. I guess I got that from my mom. You know how some parents let their kids win when they're little so they feel good about themselves? Not my mom. Dad would, but Mom was like, if you want to win, you have to earn it. All this give everyone a trophy garbage is ruining this country. When I finally beat her at Monopoly, I took a picture of the board, and then I never played with her again. Mr. Phillips calls for the votes. We're judged on how we argue the point, how we rebut the opponent's points, and how well our arguments are structured and our presentation skills. As he's tallying up the scores, I remember when Dad came to my first debate. I was arguing for the death penalty. My team won. In the car on the way home, he said, I never knew you were in favor of the death penalty, son. He glanced over at me. Have to say, I'm surprised. I stared at him. What makes you think I'm in favor of the death penalty? Liam, you just won a debate arguing in support of it, Dad said. Not only that, you did such a good job, you almost made me think I'm in favor of it. Dad, that's just the side I took for the debate, I explained. Mr. Phillips told us we had to start off arguing a position we don't agree with because it's harder to do. My father shook his head slowly. Wow, smart man, Mr. Phillips, Dad said, teaching you to play devil's advocate. I'm not sure Mom agrees, I muttered. Dad laughed. Maybe not, but remember, you inherited your way with words from your mom, not me. I'm hoping my way with words pays off as Mr. Phillips finishes tallying the points on the voting sheets. We have a winner, he says. Congratulations, Mr. Connors. I turn and hold out my hand to Oliver. Mr. Phillips is big on us being gracious when we win and not being sore losers when we don't. Good debate, Mr. Steiner, I say. Oliver shakes my hand and says, Nice work, Mr. Connors. Then we both laugh because it still seems so weird to call each other Mr., but we're supposed to at Debate Club because Mr. Phillips says it's a way of showing each other respect. But as soon as the announcement crackles over the loudspeaker that the late buses are here, Oliver fake punches my shoulder and says, Crush you next time, sucker. Yeah, in your dreams, I tell him. Guess we can only keep up the respect thing for so long, but that's okay. We're just messing with each other. It's way different from the stuff people have been saying to Laura Kelly. We talk about our fantasy football picks on the way down to the front circle. See you tomorrow, he says, as we part ways for our late buses. Not if I see you first, I retort over my shoulder. The late bus is half empty, as usual. The lucky ones have parents or older siblings who pick them up. Even if Bree had her license and use of one of the family cars, I can't see her going out of her way to do me a favor. But today, I don't mind so much, because Sid is sitting on the late bus. Staring out the window, I slide into the seat in front of her. Ooh. Okay, sorry. What's going on? You don't want to know, she says. Nothing too special. But you're pretty special. Stop, I tell myself. Sid needs a friend, not a creeper. So true. I just wonder if I'll ever stop feeling like I want to punch everyone in the face, she sighs. It's so unlike Sid to say something like that I can't help putting my hands up to block my face, laughing as I do so. Sid swats away my arms down playfully. Not you, silly, she says. Just the rest of the world. Oof, I breathe, an exaggerated sigh of relief. You had me scared, so scared for a moment there. Yeah, right, Sid says, because I'm so tough that huge football players have been known to wet themselves when they see me walking down the hall. Being able to make her laugh is even better than beating Oliver. Mom would slap me upside the head for even thinking that, but lucky for me, she can't read my thoughts. Seriously, is everything okay? I ask. I mean, I know that's a stupid question, but yeah, she looks out the window, avoiding my gaze, and her lower lip trembles. No, everything isn't okay. Pretty much nothing is okay, if you want to know the truth. Her voice wobbles, like she's about to cry. Crying girls freaks me out, because I don't know what to do to make them stop. Thankfully, Sid turns mad instead. But of course, I have to pretend like everything's fine, because Mom's running for re-election to city council. I'm just so mad all the time. Like every time I stay after school for rehearsal and work on crew instead of being in the cast, I was good. I know, I agree. I ran lines with you. It's not fair, she says. Sid's speaking quietly, so only I can hear over the noise of the bus engine, the driver's radio, and the chatter of the other kids. But there's so much anger in her voice, I feel like I could drill a hole in the seat back between us. I didn't feel like it could drill a hole, right? Because she's so angry. Okay. I didn't even get a chance to try out because Laura's drama always messes up my life. And then, as if she's just realized what she said, she covers her mouth with her hand and looks at me, wide-eyed with horror. You probably think I'm awful, right? The fingers over her mouth muffle her words. Her other hand grips the seat back. I pat the hand hesitantly, gently, with my own. I don't think you're awful, Sid. I think you're, human. Her eyes get all watery, and I'm scared she's going to start crying, but then she takes a deep breath and smiles. Phew, she says, human, huh? Well, that's a relief. And all this time I've been worrying I was some kind of alien. Who could blame me for crushing on her? Ah! He's crushing on her. Oh my gosh, you guys. Liam and Sydney sitting in a tree. But will they? Okay, let's keep going. Let's find out. Sydney. What time is it? Being buzzed into the psych ward is like being led into prison. Not that I've been to prison, but I've seen movies. I can't believe Laura's been in this place for 2 weeks. She's in her room, sitting on her bed, wearing sweats, the kind with an elastic waist because she's not allowed the ones that tie with a string. Her skin is pale, almost gray in color, and her hair hangs limply around her face, like she hasn't brushed it today, like she doesn't care about her appearance, or anything for that matter. My sister looks kind of like the flowers wilting in the plastic pee bottle on the dresser. She's seen better days. I wonder why no one has thrown those flowers out. Dropped petals litter the top of the dresser, and the water in the pee bottle is green. The doctor tells us you can come home tomorrow, Mom says. Wait, what? How come nobody told me that? This place is so awful that I feel like the world's worst sister for even thinking this, but I've kind of been enjoying being the only child at home these last 2 weeks. Not having to wait to use the computer or the bathroom, no Laura using up all the hot water before I get to take a shower. And best of all, even though my parents still talk about Laura constantly, they seem to notice me more. I can't wait to get out of this place, Lara says with the most emotion I've seen her show since the night in the hospital. It's horrible. I hate it. I am the worst sister ever. But they're helping you, Mom says, and that's the most important thing. Laura opens her mouth, but then shuts it like she thought better of what she's going to say. She looks down at her hands and starts picking at her cuticles instead. You seem a lot better, Mom says. They tell us you're making progress. Of course, you have to continue with intensive therapy when you come home. How exactly does Laura seem better? I wonder. Okay, she's not passed out in a bathroom, but she still seems pretty miserable to me. Should I throw out these flowers? I ask, walking over to the dresser because the green water in the pee bottle is really starting to gross me out. No, Laura says with vehemence that startles me. Fine, geez, chill, will you? I say, backing away from the dead flowers that for some reason my crazy sister wants to keep. Honey, I want you to have a look at these, Dad says, taking some papers out of his pocket and moving to sit next to Laura on the bed. Pete, are you sure this is a good idea? Mom asks, her brow creased with worry. It's fine, Kathy, Dad snaps. Laura flinches slightly at his tone, and she looks from one parent to the other, eyes wide. I don't have a good feeling about this. My father is obsessed with vengeance and has little or no confidence in the competence of our local police force. Having watched a gazillion reruns of Law and Order, he considers himself just as qualified to run this investigation as they are, no matter how many times Mom tells him to back off and let them do their job. Okay, we need to pause for a second. Okay, cool. Okay, good. Sorry, just got a little glitch there. That was weird. He's been spending every night glued to his laptop, creating a spreadsheet of everyone who commented on Laura's wall, which he's cross-referenced with Christian's friend list. Organizing and systemizing things are his specialty. Can't read right now. What's going on? I think it's something to do with being an engineer. The problem is he gets confused and frustrated when we don't fit into the systems he creates. Everything's going okay, right? Right now? Not having a glitch? Okay. It seems like I was. I want you to look at this, he said. I've made a list of the comments who made them as and if they were a friend of yours and that person, Dad says. I don't want to look at them, Laura says. I can't. Pete? Laura, we need to find this jerk. He has to pay for what he did to you, Dad says. Just look at it. I can't, Daddy, Laura says, her voice starting to break. Of course you can, honey. Just for a minute or two, Dad urges her. He's so focused on his spreadsheet and revenge that he's completely oblivious to the signs that Laura is losing it. I can't, Laura screams. She takes the paper and rips it into shreds and starts crying hysterically. I'm laughing because that's a really exaggerated thing to do. Just rip up the paper that your dad's trying to hand you. Dad stands there looking completely dumbfounded, the way someone who's poked a stick in a nest Can't understand why he's getting stung by a swarm of angry bees. It's okay, Laura. You don't have to look, Mom says, going to Laura and trying to put her arms around her. But Laura shakes off my mother's embrace and seems to shrink into herself, curling up and burying her head in her arms, her shoulders heaving from the force of her sobs. Lara, what's happening? A nurse stands in the doorway. She gestures for us to get out of the room. My parents don't want to, but she doesn't take no for an answer. She closes the door in Mom's face as soon as we get out, and we can only hear the murmur of voices from behind the closed door. Pete, I told you it wasn't a good idea, Mom bites out from between clenched teeth. Just because it's your way of coping with what happened doesn't mean it's the best thing for Laura. Are you sure she's ready to get out of the hospital? Dad deflects, and they're off. My parents are arguing about my sister again. I walk down the hall and thumb a text to Maddie and Kara. It's official, my entire family has lost it. But I pause before hitting send, and then with a sigh, I backspace and erase it. It's hard enough at school being the sister of that girl who tried to kill herself. Add to that being stuck backstage doing crew at play rehearsals while my friends are on stage together. Why add to my problems by being honest about how crazy things really are with my messed up family? The nurse comes out of Lara's room and my parents stop arguing and pretend everything's fine. We need to talk, the nurse says, but first I'm going to give Lara something to calm her down. Can we go in? Mom asks. She doesn't want to see you right now, the nurse says. Only her sister. And we need to set up a family meeting for the two of you with Lara's psychiatrist before she is released tomorrow, if her doctor still feels that's appropriate. Then she walks away to get Lara's medication. Me? Why me? I can tell my parents are wondering the same thing as I open the door to Lara's room and slip inside. She's lying on the bed, curled up in the fetal position. I'm not sure what happened, what I'm supposed to say or do, and I'm afraid to do anything that might set her off again. I sit on the edge of the bed. Hey, are you okay? I ask in a quiet and what I hope is calming voice. Duh, stupid question. If she were okay, she wouldn't be in this place. Do you have your phone? Uh-oh. Her voice is muffled because her face is still half buried in the pillow. My phone? Yeah, why? I want to. They won't let me use the computer in here, and my sister sits up and faces me, reaching out and taking my hand. I have to see if he wrote to me. I'm about to say, seriously? But I bite the word back. Lara, I can't let you use my phone. Mom and Dad would kill me. I try to pull my hand out of her grasp, but she holds on. Come on, Sid, please, she begs. Her fingers are white-knuckled around my wrist, gripping so hard it hurts. I need to know. Lara, no, I can't do it. You shouldn't be asking me to. Shouldn't be asking you to do what? The nurse. Oh, sorry. Shouldn't be asking you to do what? The nurse. It's the nurse, carrying a tray with a small paper cup containing pills and a plastic cup filled with water. She looks at Laura sternly. My sister's fingers become limp on my arm and fall off, and her eyes plead with me not to rat her out. I don't know if I'm doing the right thing by covering for her, but I say nothing and get up to leave. As I walk out the door, I hear the nurse quizzing my sister. Was she asking me to do something that was against the rules? See you tomorrow, Lara, I call out. As bad as I feel for my sister being stuck in this awful place, part of me hopes the nurse tells the doctor that she was trying to break the rules and that she has to stay in longer. I'm the worst sister in all eternity. Mom and I have to stop at the pharmacy on the way home from the hospital to pick up prescriptions they've called in for Lara, so we'll have them when she's released. We bump into Mrs. Hellman, Spencer's mom. She asks how Laura's doing. Much better, Mom tells her, beaming at Mrs. Hellman with that I've started calling her paranormal smile. She's improving every day. Considering we've just left Lara having to be given something to calm her down because she was crying her eyes out, I have to wonder if my mom is living in some kind of alternative reality. I'm so happy to hear that, Mrs. Hellman says. Let me know if there's anything I can do to help. And then Mom asks her if she's planning to go to the city council election debate, and I have to walk away because it's just too weird to hear Mom talking about her opponent, school funding, and property taxes like nothing is wrong. Going on like life is normal when we just left Lara behind locked doors that they have to buzz you in and out of like a prison, pretending that everyone at school, everyone on our street isn't talking, isn't wondering what's so wrong with us that would make Laura do it. Dad went back to work after the hospital, and Mom and I have already eaten by the time he gets home. So he grabs a plate and comes to sit with me and watch TV. I'm watching a rerun of some old rom-com movie because I don't want to think about anything other than laughing. Can I switch to the news? Dad asks. Dad, I'm watching this. You've seen that movie at least 5 times already, Sid, he says, and it's not exactly intellectually stimulating. I don't want intellectually stimulating, I say, throwing the remote control in his lap and getting up off the sofa. I want something that's going to take my mind off this crazy house and all the crazy people in it. Also, I just have to say, like, him like saying to her, like, oh, you need you've already seen this before. It's not an intellectually stimulating. She's literally had like she's just as traumatized by this experience as Laura is, if I say so myself. I feel like Sydney at this point needs something like a comfort thing, right? Like sometimes it's watching the same movie 5 times over. I've done there. I've been there, right? Like I've needed just a moment to like zone out from things. And this is like totally normal for her to be doing. And it's, I feel bad for Sydney because I feel bad. Let me get this straight. I feel bad for Laura. I think that's a given, but I really do feel bad for Sydney because it does seem like her parents are just not aware of her, emotional state, her mental state, and all of this. I stomp up to my room and hurl myself on the bed. I wish I were old enough to drive so I could get in the car and just go somewhere. Not that I'd have a destination in mind, anywhere but here. Unfortunately, I don't have that option. The closest thing I have is a book. I pull one of my favorites off the shelf and start reading it again, hoping that reading about other people's problems will help me forget my own. My sister is home from the hospital by the time I get back from school the next day. Shh, Mom says when I let myself into the kitchen. Laura's resting. She tires very easily. Is she in the family room? I ask, because I have homework to do and I need to use the computer. No, she's in her room, Mom says. So why do I have to shush then? She's upstairs. I'm downstairs. I can't even talk in my own house. We're inside the house, so the paranormal smile is nowhere to be seen. Mom gives an exasperated sigh. Sit down, Sydney. I need to explain a few rules going forward, she says. This doesn't sound so good. I slide into the chair at the table and perch on the edge, waiting for the axe to fall. What are my parents going to take away from me this time because of Laura? Your sister is still in a fragile state, Mom says. We have to keep a close eye on her to make sure she doesn't come to any harm. Wait, you mean she might try to kill herself again? There's no immediate risk, but if they thought she might try to do it again, why'd they let her out of the freaking hospital? I ask, my voice rising in anger at the doctors who made the decision. I don't want to knock on my sister's door or the bathroom door and get no answer and wonder if she's okay or if she's dead. I don't want to feel that sick, gut-wrenching panic ever again. Sydney, keep your voice down, Mom hisses. Laura's sleeping. How am I supposed to sleep knowing my sister might try to kill herself in the next room at any random moment? Can you just listen to me before you start with drama? Mom says. Oh, I'm the one with the drama. Wow, Mom. Lara will be seeing a therapist regularly, and I have to keep her under constant observation, Mom continues. That means she has to keep her bedroom door open, and even the bathroom door has to be cracked open when she's inside. What, even when she's, going? Yes, even then, Mom says, her face grim. That's kind of creepy, I say. It's a whole lot less creepy than finding her unconscious in the bathtub surrounded by pill bottles, Mom says. I have to admit, she has a point there. Wait, those rules don't apply to me, though, do they? Mom looks confused. No, why would they apply to you? Because last time when Laura was trying to lose weight, you made me stop eating cookies too. The look on Mom's face would be comical if it wasn't my life we were talking about. It was like this was some huge revelation to her when she was the one who made the freaking policy. I didn't do that, she protests. What do you mean? You didn't do that? Of course you did. You don't buy cookies anymore. You don't make any. This house has been a cookie-free zone since Laura was in middle school. That was because I was trying to create a supportive environment for Lara to lose weight, Mom protests. She looks down at her fingers and fidgets with her engagement ring. I never intended it to feel like a punishment for you, sweetheart. Sure, doesn't feel that way. I'm sorry. She says it so softly, I think I've misheard. I've never heard Mom say those words to me before. Apologies are a one-way street in our house, a street that goes in the parental direction. Until now. But when I look at Mom, her eyes are glistening. There's no paranormal smile. I think this is the real deal. I'm doing the best I can, Sid. I try. But I don't always get it right, she says, an unfamiliar wobble in her voice. I'm not used to seeing her like this, hearing her admit that she's not right all the time, that she's sorry, that she's not the paranormal queen of perfection, is what makes me get up and hug her, even though I'm still mad. It's okay, Mom. Nobody's perfect. She hugs me back, and I breathe in the scent of the perfume she always wears and the smell of her shampoo. So what if Laura is falling to pieces? Mom still puts on makeup and dresses like she's on a photo shoot. Maybe that's the glue she uses to hold herself together. Mom releases me and sighs heavily. I don't have to tell you how having to be here to watch Lara constantly is going to impact my campaign, she says. And that's when our little moment ends with a thud. Maybe you can get Laura to apologize for the poor timing of her suicide attempt, I say before taking my backpack and stomping upstairs, ignoring the stricken look on my mother's face. Yeah, that was really bad timing, Mom. That was really, really bad timing. Like, this is the second time she's brought up her campaign when it comes to this situation. Like, this is the second time. Like, her family doesn't know that she's a politician and is, like, in the public eye, right? Like, you're right, Mom. You don't have to tell this to Sydney. You don't have to say it. You could just not say it. But she still does, right? I don't have to tell you. Okay, well, then don't. I don't know. It's just kind of it's just really like, it's just not a good thing to say. It's just not. Like, yeah, obviously we care about your career, but like, not right now. Okay. Liam. Back to Liam. Did you hear? Sydney Kelly's sister got let out of the hospital. You mean the girl who tried to kill herself? Yeah, my sister said some dude dumped her on Facebook, and that's what made her do it. That's the kind of buzz going around the cafeteria at lunch. I see Sydney walk in with her friend, Kara. She stands in line to get her food. At first, she's chatting with Kara, but then I watch as her back tenses up and her hands clutch the tray tighter, as she starts hearing what people around her are saying. Then she says something to Kara and rushes out of the cafeteria, leaving her tray. Yo, Liam, you zoning out or what? Oliver waves his hand in front of my face to get my attention. What? I ask. Did you hear anything I just said? You asked me if I was zoning out. He gives are you kidding me look. Duh, before that. No. Are you going to debate club after school? Yeah, I tell him, but my mind isn't on debate or on the fantasy football league, which is what the other guys at the table are talking about. I'm wondering where Sid is and if she's okay. I want to find her and ask her, but I'm afraid she'll think I'm weird if I do. So instead, I pretend I just got a text, and under the pretext of replying, I send one to Sydney. Hey, saw you rush out of the calf. You okay? She doesn't answer right away. I start to think she isn't going to, so I force myself to join the fantasy football league discussion and act like I care. And then my phone vibrates. Not really. Anything I can do? Oh, Liam, so sweet. Tell everyone to shut up about Lara? Make the world go away? I wish I could do that. But I can just see me standing up in the middle of the cafeteria and shouting, could you all just shut up about Lara Kelly? And now back to your regularly scheduled programming. That would only make people talk about it more. And then they'd be talking about me too and how crazy I am. Wish there was something I could actually do, I text back before saying, are you serious? I can't believe you played the Bills running back over the Bears last week. You left 25 points on your bench. As Roger Cohen launches into his reply, Sid texts back, there's nothing anyone can do. That's the worst part of it. My fingers tighten around my phone. I feel like throwing it at the wall. Someone should be able to do something. I want to do something, but I don't know what to do or how to do it. So I just type, hang in there, Sid, and go back to talking about fantasy football. Lara. Okay, wait. Just really quick, I want to see where I'm at. Okay, we're right at the end of part 1. Okay, this is the last chapter of part 1 before we get into part 2. I know part 1 is it's still exciting, but I feel like part 2 is really going to kick off. Okay, so let's finish up part 1. Lara. The only time I've been out of the house since they released me from the hospital is to go see Linda, my therapist, which I have to do every few days until she decides I'm sane enough to re-enter society and, more importantly, go back to school. Part of me hopes that's never. Every time my parents bring up the subject of if I want to go back to Lake Hills or transfer somewhere else, it makes me want to take more pills. Like, that's even a possibility. Anything that might resemble a pill is under lock and key at our house. The next time I get my period, I'm going to have to ask mom's permission to even take Midol. She's probably going to ration my use of tampons in case I try to make a noose out of the strings. The problem is the alternative is staying home, bored out of my head, under mom's watchful eye. On the therapist's advice, I'm not allowed to use the computer or my cell phone until my emotional state is more stabilized. So even if someone did care, like say if Christian changed his mind after he heard I tried to kill myself, that's a really bad way to think. I'm going to highlight this because we're going to come back to it later. Why won't let me highlight it? Hello? There we go. No one can contact me. Mom turns off the router when I have assignments, so I can't get online. The only thing I can use is Microsoft Word. If I need to look at anything up online to get my schoolwork done, Mom stands over me, breathing down my neck till I'm done. I'm not sure which of us hates the new arrangement more. I've tried reading, but the words bounce around the page like Dad when he's had too much of cups of coffee. The doctor warned me there might be some neurological effects from the overdose. He said that hopefully they'll just be temporary, but only time will tell. Great. Imagine if they're not. That'll make going back to school even worse. Now everyone will call me stupid Lardo. So I've been watching a lot of daytime TV, mostly kid programmed, because in those everything is happy, has a happy ending, even though I know that's a lie. That in reality, everything goes downhill once you get to middle school, and things never really get tied up in a neat bow after a half an hour in real life. It's because it's better than watching Maury or Jerry Springer, where the whole point of the show is to see people whose lives are so messed up they're willing to find out who is really the father of their baby on national TV. Why would anyone want to find out something that personal in front of an audience? Don't they ever think about how someday that poor little baby will be a teenager and see his or her screwed up parents fighting on YouTube? I'll take Sesame Street over that in a heartbeat. While I'm counting with the count, I list the reasons why I wish the pills had worked. Number 1, I wouldn't have to face going back to school. Number 2, I wouldn't spend the rest of my life being known as the girl who tried to kill herself and failed at that too. Number 3, I wouldn't have to remember, and so because of that, and here's the biggie, number 4, I wouldn't have to feel anything ever again. But what I'm doing is putting me on Dr. Hospital Shrink's naughty list. Because I'm not supposed to be engaging in destructive, negative thought patterns like this. Instead, I'm supposed to be making a gratitude list of 3 things I'm grateful for every day. I was like, how am I supposed to do that? My life sucks. That's why I'm here in the first place. Dr. Hospital Shrink just smiled and nodded like, yeah, he'd heard it all before. It doesn't have to be a big thing, Laura. It can be something as small as being grateful that you got the right flavored Jell-O on your dinner tray. If I liked Jell-O, which I don't, but you get the idea, he persisted. Dr. Hospital Shrink was annoyingly persistent. As much as I pretended not to, I did. This was my list for the first day. Number 1, I'm grateful for water. I'm thirsty. Number 2, I'm grateful that Mom and Dad went home to shower and change so I had a break from them sitting by my bedside, sighing and making me feel like I'm their problem child. Number 3, I'm seriously grateful for toilet paper. That activated charcoal they gave me to help the drugs out of my system is making me poop a lot, and it's making my poop beyond gross. Like, I mean, even more beyond gross than poop usually is. It's totally black, like coal. This episode of Sesame Street is brought to you by the letter W for waste of time. Making the list hasn't been getting easier, even after being out of the hospital for a week. I'm still stuck on number 1 for today's list. Oh, wait, number 1. I'm grateful for Sesame Street, so I don't have to watch mothers who sleep with their sons' girlfriends' brothers on Jerry Springer Show. One down, only two more to think about in the endless hours that stretch between now and when I go to sleep, and this all starts over again. Number two, I'm grateful for naps because they help pass the time and let me forget. Except when they don't. Except when I dream about Christian. Last night I dreamed that he did ask me to his dance, and I bought that ivory dress that I loved on when Nello. He looked hot in his tux, and he told me I was beautiful when he slipped a pretty corsage over my tiny pink roses with small spray of baby's breath onto my wrist. The touch of his hands on my wrist sending shivers up my spine. In my dream limo, he put his arm around me and rested his hand on my bare shoulder, gently touching my skin with his fingertips. He whispered in my ear that he loved me and that this was going to be the best night ever. In my dream, I believed him, my heart beating faster with excitement and anticipation, because just by being there with him and having his arm around me, it already was. But when the limo pulled up to the dance, it wasn't at his high school. It was at my middle school. And all these people outside, dressed in tuxes and beautiful dresses, were holding big signs that said Lardo and Lardosaurus. I was scared Christian would see them and change his mind, so I tried to kiss him to distract him from the signs. But instead of leaning in to kiss me with his perfect, warm lips, he pulled away from me in horror. Why would I want to kiss you? He asked, his handsome face distorted almost beyond recognition by disgust and loathing. Lardo, you repulse me. I would never want to be seen with you in public anywhere, let alone a dance. But why? I pleaded, reaching for him, still feeling the warmth of his fingers on my skin. A few minutes ago, you said the world would be a better place without you in it, Lardo, he said, and he was no longer handsome. His eyes made me shiver, but with fear, not anticipation. His mouth was a thin line of cruelty, but worse still were the words that came out of it. You should just do us all a favor and kill yourself. I woke up, my heart racing, with tears streaming down my cheeks. In the stillness, in the lonely quiet of 3 a.m, when no one else was awake, I cried into my pillow so my sister wouldn't hear through the wall. And I wished once again that the pills had done their job. And the question that I asked myself over and over as I tried to get back to sleep, staring at the shadows on the ceiling, was, what did I do wrong? Until I understand that, making these stupid gratitude lists is just a homework assignment in fakery. Because I'm mad and I still have to wake up every day to a world where nothing makes sense. No way am I going to be able to come up with number 3 today. Linda, the therapist I see now that I'm out of the hospital, is just going to have to deal. Just like she expects me to. Just like everyone else thinks I should. Mom knocks on the door. Her attempt at pretending I have privacy. I'm not allowed to shut it anymore in case I harm myself. They're protecting me from me. Even when I shower, I have to leave the bathroom door ajar, which is totally awkward when Dad's home. My parents promised that when I take a shower, he's not allowed to come upstairs. But still, the faint draft coming in from the open door reminds me that I'm not to be trusted. Now I know how zoo animals feel, always watched, always observed, never able to escape, except inside their heads. Except now, everyone's trying to watch me in there too. Lara, honey? Yeah. She inches into my room and takes a seat on the edge of my bed. I shove the stupid gratitude journal under the covers. No way I want Mom prying into that. Elmo is telling kids about how great it is to share. Oh, Elmo, you poor, deluded little red furball. You don't have a clue, do you? Little buddy, kids are way meaner than Muppets. Can you turn down the TV a little? Mom asks. I push mute. Elmo's relentless optimism is starting to grate on my nerves anyway. He doesn't get it. Wait till you hit puberty, Elmo. Just you wait. The police called, Mom says. They're coming over in half an hour to talk to us. Well, specifically to talk to you. I thought you might want to take a shower and get dressed. Not particularly. I'm happy to stay in my PJs with unwashed hair and no makeup and unbrushed teeth. Because I really don't care. I know I'm supposed to, but I don't. Here's the thing with Mom. When she says, I thought you might want to, what she really means is, I want you to. If I say what I really feel, namely what I want to remain sloppy and unwashed, she'd ask me 20 questions about why. Answer, because I don't care about how I look. And I don't worry about the impression I'm giving the world. Answer, no. Sorry. And don't I worry about the impression I'm giving the world? Answer, no. And doesn't it make me feel better to be clean? Answer, nothing makes me feel better. I wish she could come straight out and say, go take a shower and get dressed, instead of pretending I have any say in the matter. What do they want to talk about? I ask, instead of telling her that. They want to ask you some questions about Facebook. Ugh, just what I'm trying to forget about. Just what I'd rather not think about ever again. My father is obsessed with the subject. The other night, he printed out his stupid spreadsheet for what feels like the millionth time and wanted me to look at it so I could tell him something about every single person on the list. I tore it up again without even glancing at it. He yelled at me, saying that I owed him my cooperation after everything you put this family through. Then Mom yelled at him for yelling at me when I'm still so fragile and unstable. Sid yelled at both of them because she's sick of living in such a messed up family where everyone yells at each other all the time while I'm trying to do my freaking homework. I curled up, wishing that I were a turtle with a hard shell that I could retreat into and hide when things got difficult or scary. I stuck my fingers in my ears, asking myself again why I had to be such a failure. Why I couldn't even get a simple thing like taking too many pills right. What Dad doesn't understand is that I just want to forget. Every time he tries to ask me questions, I pretend to have a relapse, except the reality is I'm half pretending. My parents think that trying to commit suicide was the hardest part. They still don't get that failing is what's hard. How from the moment my brain starts to work again in the morning, I have to try to make sense of why I'm still here and to figure out how to survive another day. Mom is alert, as always, trying to read every tiny change of expression on my face. Are you up for this? I spoke to Linda and she said she thought it would be okay. You have an appointment with her this afternoon anyway to process whatever might come up. Process. Murray Monster. We can ex-nay the word process for the rest of my life? There are word processors and food processors and processed meat, but apparently all my thoughts and feelings also have to be processed, like spray cheese or spam. Whatever, I'll go take a shower. I might have to keep the door cracked, but at least Mom won't follow me in there. In the shower, I twist the hot tap until the water turns my skin pink. If only hot water could sterilize me. If only it could boil the thoughts out of my brain. At least it fills the bathroom with swirling mists of condensation. I close my eyes and try to visualize my brain as the fog. Grayish white, fluffy, with no foam. No thoughts. No pain. It works for about 4 seconds before Christian's face emerges from the mist. The world would be a better place without you in it. I might as well do what Mom says and wash my hair since I'm an epic failure at my own life. You look refreshed, dear, Mom says when I walk into the kitchen. Refreshed, rebooted, reprogrammed, reprocessed. Ignoring her, I open the fridge and scan the context for something that might take the gratitude list. There's no cookie dough, no gooey chocolate cake, no unhealthy snacks. Mom thinks I still care about being lardo, that I still think all those trips to the nutritionist and all the extra exercise and the weighing food and mindful eating and stuff were worth it. Nope. If there were a big chocolate cake in the fridge, I would eat the whole thing and wash it down with a quart of milk. Because what does it matter? What does anything matter when the world would be a better place without me in it? Don't leave the fridge door open. Can I make you something? If she could make me understand about Christian, that would be something useful, but she can't. I mumble, no thanks, and grab a yogurt, and that I don't really want, just to stop her from nagging me. They should be here in a few minutes, Mom says. She's watching my every movement, even as I go to get a spoon for the yogurt. Hypersensitive to the weapons for self-harm lurking all around me. Kitchen knives, matches, glasses, you name it. It's all here in our kitchen. I don't respond. I just sit and eat the stupid yogurt. It's banana, which makes it even less appealing, which is definitely not going to be one for the gratitude list. Unless I can write that I'm glad that eating is over. Lucky for me, the doorbell rings. Mom looks from me to the direction of the front door, her brow furrowed. She's obviously worried about leaving me alone in the presence of so much danger. I'll just get the door, she says. Back in a sec. As soon as she leaves the room, I ditch the rest of the yogurt in the garbage can, making sure to hide it under something so Mom doesn't see. If there's one thing being in the shrink hospital of horrors taught me, it's that I have to play the game. When Mom comes back, she's followed by a police lady and a guy wearing a worn jacket and khakis instead of a police uniform. but you can still see the gun holstered under his arm and the badge at his waist. Laura, honey, this is Detective Souther and Officer Hall. Officer Hall was here the night you were taken to the hospital. Officer, detective, can I get you anything? Coffee, water? No thanks, Detective Souther says. Are you most comfortable chatting here, Laura? I'd be most comfortable not chatting at all, but nobody is giving me that option. I shrug. Whatever. We all sit down at the kitchen table. Detective Souther takes out a little black notebook. Something tells me he doesn't have to make useless gratitude lists in it. We've been looking into the activity on your Facebook profile the night of your, he hesitates for the briefest second, hospitalization. We're here to ask you about a young man named Christian DeWitt. If there's one thing in the world I don't want to talk about to the police, especially in front of my mom, is a young man named Christian DeWitt. Math equation: Christian plus talking equals pain. But if I show that I'm freaked out by the idea, mom will get even more freaked out, creating a vicious vortex of freaked outness. Oh, like what? I ask with pretend nonchalance. How long have you been friends with Mr. DeWitt? Detective Souther asks. Before he turned on me? 2 months, 4 days, 11 hours. Oh, about 2 months. Have you ever met him in person? I avoid looking at mom. No, he was friends with a bunch of kids from my school, so I figured he had to be okay. Mom exhales her disapproval. Yes, Mom, I know. I broke the rules. Don't you think I have learned my lesson? Did he friend you, or did you friend him? This guy clearly must have forgotten what it's like to be in high school. Like I'd ever would have had the courage to friend someone as good looking as Christian. I couldn't believe when I got the friend request from him. He's so gorgeous. Like, seriously, he could be an Abercrombie model. I looked at his profile picture for 10 minutes, unable to believe that he actually wanted to friend me. He friended me. And how did you develop a relationship? What relationship? There's no relationship, detective. Somehow, I don't know how or why, I screwed it up. We started chatting, by IM. Did you ever video chat? No. I wanted to, but the camera on his laptop was broken. Okay, this is red flag number 1. Okay, person you don't know, you've never met before, starts chatting with you and will not do a video chat because the camera on their laptop is broken. Did you ever speak to Mr. DeWitt on the telephone? No. Come on, Laura. Oh boy. And on the night of your hospitalization, he sent you this message. Detective Souther nods to Officer Hall, and she takes a piece of paper out of a folder. It's a printout of the Facebook direct message Christian sent me, the one that said the world would be a better place without me in it, the one that said, "Goodbye, loser." I realize, horrified, that they've been reading my chats and my emails. They know everything. How stupid I'd been, how I believed someone like Christian could actually like someone like me. But they're still asking me questions instead of giving me answers. Like everything else that's supposed to be helping me, this is just another royal waste of time. I'm beyond sick of it. I'm furious. Why are you even bothering to ask me questions when you've already pried into my personal life and read everything? When you already know? I snap. Huh? Why don't you answer my questions for a change? I stand up and grab the paper, crumple it into a ball, and throw it on the table in front of the spying detective. Lara, Mom exclaims, calm down. She grabs my wrist and tries to pull me back into my chair. Oh, don't go too fast. Why should I? I shout at her, trying to pull my arm out of her grasp. Don't I have a right to be mad? Why does she always have to shut me down? Maybe this was too much, too soon, she explains to the police, pasting on a warped version of her politician smile. Even Mom can't manage full watt fakery right now. This must be incredibly painful for you, Laura, and I understand that our questions feel intrusive, Officer Hall says in a calm, gentle voice. But we want to help you find answers. It's the hope, however unlikely it may be, of finding an answer that makes me slump back into my seat and answer the question. Trying to understand why Christian turned on me is an obsession. Yeah, He sent me that message. I don't know what happened. I don't know what I did wrong, why he suddenly changed like that. He went from being so sweet to. This is why I don't want to let any kind of feeling start, because I have no control over the size of it or how to control it or stop it if it gets too much. Emotion pours over me like a tidal wave, drowning me with primitive force. I lay my head down on my arms on the table and sob until the sleeves of my t-shirt are wet. Mom flutters around me, panicked by the force of my grief, stroking my back, trying to give me tissues, telling me everything is going to be okay, which I know isn't true. I know full well it's a lie, because how can things ever be okay after what's happened? When my sobs have slowed to sniffles, Mom sits holding my hand, and I face Detective Souther and Officer Hall with red, swollen eyes. Laura, you didn't do anything wrong to make Christian turn, Officer Hall says. The thing is, she glances at Detective Souther. He takes over. What we've learned from our investigation, Laura, is that there is no Christian DeWitt. The profile was deleted a week after you were hospitalized. According to the administration at East River High, there is no student of that name registered. No family by the name of DeWitt lives in the town of East River, and we cross-checked the few profile pictures. They are all of young men named Adam Bernard, who models for Abercrombie & Fitch, the clothing store. We contacted Mr. Bernard, and he has no knowledge of anyone named Christian DeWitt. I stare at his mouth as the words come out, my mind unable to believe what he is telling me can be true. It can't be. This is a dream. This is a really bad dream. The worst dream ever. I'll wake up and it won't be true. Just like the one I had where I went to the dance with Christian in the limo and we ended up at my middle school with everyone calling me Lardo. I started pinching my leg hard with my left hand over and over to try and wake myself up. Mom sees me and takes my hand. Lara, stop. You're going to bruise yourself, she says, thinking that I care. And that's when I know beyond all shadow of a doubt, this isn't a dream. The horror of this is that I'm still awake and it's all too real. Even worse, it's not going to go away. I thought my world had already shattered when Christian sent me that message, but I realize now that that was only the appetizer, the prelude to this moment, which is the main course. Because Christian isn't even real. He's fake. I tried to kill myself over a boy who doesn't even exist. It's official. I'm the stupidest person alive. And I wish even more now that I were dead. Oh my gosh, you guys. Oh my gosh. Oh, such a good book. So good. This is such a good book, you guys. That's the end of part 1. That is the end of part 1. It's a little too loud, so I'm sorry. Sorry, I didn't mean to do that. So Laura survived. She has fully survived from the horrific ordeal of attempting suicide. And thinking this whole time that she was going to reconnect with Christian and maybe like figure out why it took really long. Yeah, it did. It took a lot longer than I thought it was going to take, actually. I'm not going to lie to you. I did think that was I thought that was going to be a little bit shorter of a time. But yeah, hey, we got it done. We read it. We're good. We got it done, Macho Man. That's what's important. I love this book, and it's so crazy to think that that Laura thought that she was going to be able to reconnect with Christian and figure out like what quote she did wrong, but it turns out that she was freaking out over absolutely nothing, which is absolutely so horrifying and scary. Yeah, of course, Celestial Angel. Hey, I'm glad you stuck around for the stream and you were able to read along with us. Because you can't miss out. Can't miss out on this book. It's really good. And Laura's just figured out the biggest news that she could have figured out. Also, this raises a lot of questions, right? If Christian isn't real, right? He's not like a real person. It's a catfish, what we call them nowadays. We call them catfish. Who was the person behind Christian's profile? Because they said that the real picture, the pictures where the person got the pictures from, the profile from, was a person named Adam Bernard, and Laura totally called it, right? He's an Abercrombie and Fitch model. You know, like, turns out that the person who tried to catfish her and her have the same taste, or maybe they know what her taste is. That starts to raise a few questions. Who could it be? Could it be her sister Sydney, who's extremely jealous of her and her attention that her parents have been giving her? Is it Bree, Macho Man? Is it her ex-best friend? Why would she do that? Why would she make that weird? Why would she make a weird profile like that and try to convince Laura to kill herself? That's a good guess, but you know, I wonder why she would do that. You know, like, wonder what would prompt her to want to treat Lara that way, because she seems to really like not like Laura. You know, why would she waste her time with that person, with a person that she's like doesn't want to be friends with? You know, I'm not gonna. I have to say, I don't think it's Liam. You know, he just seems really weirded out by that whole thing. He seems like he's more of an observer or bystander in this situation. Could it have been her mom? You guys are before you knock that guess real quick. There's actually a story of a mom who literally cyberbullied her child online. So it's like, that's totally could happen. It could totally be the mom. It's a possibility. The moms are, you know, kind of toxic, right? Kind of toxic in this book. Hey, Dewdrop. Welcome. We just finished up reading part 1 of Backlash, and it was good. It's awesome. It's a really great book. Lots of stuff has happened, and we've got some information, and we're going to see what happens in part 2 next week, because this is all I can do is 1 week. I can only stream once a week. That's not technically true. Isn't the mom also jealous of Lara's mom? Yes, right? So yeah, so you mean like Bree's mom. Bree's mom. Oh, true. I wonder why she would want to do that to Lara, right? Like, she's a grown woman. Why would she? I mean, that's not true. I literally just said that there was a mom who did that to her child. So never mind. It's kind of a bad, that's not a great point. But, you know, it's interesting. It does make you question who is responsible for Christian. Maybe it's somebody else. Who knows? But we're going to find out in the next part. I don't know if you guys saw right before I clicked away, but part 2 is a flashback to 2 months prior, right? So 2 months is how long Lara and Christian were talking. So we're going back to the 2 months when Lara starts talking to Christian, and maybe we're going to find out who was responsible for creating the profile. Yeah, so speculate, make your guesses, make your questions, or read ahead. You know, whatever. Thank you so much for joining me on my stream. It took a lot later than I wanted to. I actually have to get off it right now because I need to go. So I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful evening. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. It helps me out a lot, as well as checking out my YouTube videos. I just posted the most recent esports game that our school played. You should go check it out, and you should go check out the school Twitch channel as well, and follow and support us there, and yeah, all that good stuff. Okay, have a fabulous evening. Have a wonderful day wherever you are. Have a great one. Bye. See you in class. I will see you in class, probably. Bye.